Alright, welcome back to another edition of Comic Dissection, the place where you go for fucking comic dissection. It's in the title. Come on. I'm joined once again by my lovely co-host Cecilia and special guest star Goreship.
Hello.
Come for the gore, stay for the ship. And we decided to do a part 2 of our Neil Gaiman Sandman coverage because... Man,
there's just so much to talk about.
We just could, yeah, we talked for 2.5 hours and only got through like 4 or 5 episodes. So, yeah, we're gonna try, fingers crossed, to get through the now 11 episodes. Since
it's probably good that we waited. Look at that, we accidentally got
Neil Gaiman kindly dropped
2 extra episodes.
Yeah, or it was 1 episode and
2 stories.
It's
technically 2 episodes. You want to be real.
It is. I'm just saying, it's episode 11 is those 2 episodes, right? Yeah. 2 stories in a episode. But yeah, as I was saying before we started, we left off talking about the diner, and I don't know if anybody wanted to spend any more time in that creep fest or not, but we certainly can.
I think that the best part about that diner thing is, while it's not quite like the comic, of course, John D is way creepier in the comics. He looks disheveled and his skin is all missing from being Dr. Destiny.
Yeah.
He's been mutated by the Dreamstone.
Oh.
I thought it was cool that they were able to play back on some of the what would be definitely controversial imagery today.
Yeah.
There's no rape, it was all consensual.
Yeah.
It was all them under that spell of the stone.
Yeah.
I also really liked how, as it was going on, you kept seeing stuff on the TV and on the radio about
it going on everywhere.
Yeah, all over the world. And it just...
you got the microcosm in this diner, but just understand it's just getting fucked up everywhere. Yeah.
Also, I did love that, just like in the comic panel, they had, the Fates talk to John D. and pretty much explain, like, hey, we can help you kill Dream. We can help you.
The Fates are already starting to poke at Dream, but they don't get. They were just saying to watch out. Like, I don't think they're trying to kill him yet because he hasn't done. I'm not going to spoil it, but he hasn't done the thing that makes them super upset with him.
Yeah.
But they definitely imply that they're not opposed to helping murder.
No, they're not friends.
They're like, if we kind of toss you a little bit of some rope, you can catch it. We're not going to oppose it.
Yeah,
they're called the kindly ones, ironically.
Yeah. Actually, they even say in one of the episodes, they're like, be glad that we showed up and not the kindly ones, which they also are, because there are all these different forms of the Fates. But yeah, the kindly ones are terrifying. I mean, the Fates in this are terrifying.
No.
Anyway.
Well, they're terrifying mythology, though. Like, kindly ones, you call them that because you're trying to win them over. Like, they come ready to fuck shit up.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a combination of the Fates and the Furies, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're separate entities in mythology. In, like, Greek and Roman, at least, correct? Or am I mistaken about that? Because the Furies are like harpies that mostly hang out in hell, and the
I'm
Fates
not 100% sure.
Measure and cut the threads of life.
My most the most I know about the Fates actually comes from the Incarnations of Immortality by Pierce Anthony. Yeah, so that's what I draw
on a pale horse.
Yes,
I only read the first one. I
have the whole series. If you want,
I need to read 2 through 5, 7, however many.
Yeah, I think there's 7 now.
Yeah, I'd read them all.
Yeah.
Well, the most I know about the Fates is the Disney original classic Hercules.
Hercules. No, wait,
but I do think that the Fates are called the kindly ones for similar reasons.
Yes.
So, but I'm not sure how the harpies.
It's kind of one of those things with like any type of like religious thing where they have a prophet, they have a certain outlier of what makes up their prophetic nature. It's the same thing with the Fates, the Furies, the kindly ones, what do you want to call them? Because, think about it, we played The Witcher.
Yeah.
The Witcher has the same thing. There's a whole...
The Weird Sisters.
It's always...
Oh, the Weird Sisters are in Harry Potter.
Oh?
Yeah, they're a band in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I don't... Oh, yeah.
Nice.
The irony.
But that's what we keep you here for, Cecilia. Drop the pop culture knowledge I did not know.
I love how I say Witcher, she's like, witches, wizard, Harry Potter.
Well, you said Weird Sisters, actually, and then I'm like, they mentioned the Weird Sisters in one of the books.
That's one of the nicknames, as well. They've got a lot of nicknames.
But I also think part of the problem is that so much mythology, especially as it's popularized now, they mix all kinds of shit up.
I was gonna say, it's a reoccurring trope in multiple mythologies, so it's got to have some standard basis for origin. Yeah. But in the Sandman TV show, they have so far been called a couple different names.
Yeah.
I know in the comics they mentioned the kindly ones.
Yeah, the kindly ones. I mean, one of the volumes is called the kindly. Mm-hmm. I think the thickest one, the huge one, which is the whole storyline of them coming for him after he does... because the Furies will only come after you for certain crimes. Yeah. And they've disliked Dream all this time, but unless he commits these very certain crimes, and through some machinations by desire and despair, those crimes end up happening. But, again, that's way down the road. That's like season 5 if they ever get there.
They're having trouble getting to season 2 for some ungodly reason.
Fucking not fair. Sorry, I don't mean to let the F-bomb rip, but
hey, I cuss too much.
It's just like, all right, we have all these shows on Netflix that are let's call them there hot fire garbage. They're hot fire garbage that don't need any type of season renewal. Right. We have all these reality quote unquote TV shows that they're now adding to Netflix. It's like, why?
Because those are cheap.
Why?
Those are cheap
those
as
are
fuck.
so cheap.
I was reading about like how cheap it is to do a reality show that gets the same ratings as, this Tolkien thing or this new fucking Game of Thrones thing, but is like 1/100th of the budget. And because we are not making art, we're making capital.
Capitalism once again.
Yeah, capitalism once again, killing art. We're going to get less of these wonderful shows and much more of this, like, we put 12 really beautiful, pretty people on an island and watch them fuck. And betray each other. And betray the people they left behind to go live on the island for 3 months. Woohoo!
Well, you know what?
One of them's a celebrity or whatever.
There's $1 million jackpot for some reason.
With all due respect. With all due respect.
Yes. No.
In the famous words of Ricky Bobby, that idea ain't worth a velvet painting of a whale and a dolphin getting it on.
Yeah.
That sounds stupid. The idea of, reality shows can outweigh the net worth that, or the capital that we'll gain from great shows like, fantasy-based, like The Witcher, or Legacies, or any other show that people actually give a shit about. Because you know what? I have not heard about any of these reality shows crashing their servers, like, let's say, House of the Dragon crashed HBO Max.
Oh, did it?
Yes,
Damn.
it crashed. Nice. I've never heard of any of these reality shows premiering crashing.
Yeah. So, the, irony of this particular line of conversation is I was just listening to a podcast about archaeology, and they were talking about the fake archaeology shows, like the Ancient Aliens and all that bullshit.
History Channel After Dark.
Yeah. Whoa, not fake. It's on the History Channel.
After
Cecilia.
Dark.
Yeah. They also had a thing about mermaids, so I really
not
don't.
Fake.
Don't take a drink.
Goreship almost choked on his energy drink.
So I'm just saying that, no. But they mentioned that shows exist to sell laundry detergent, not to be good.
Okay, well, the History Channel
painful but true.
They're doing stuff on mermaids. That is historical, because that goes back to the time of pirates and
that goes back to that Disney movie.
Actually, the Mermaid show.
Yeah, exactly.
The Little Mermaid show was talking about how people are descended from mermaids.
Well, you know what? I don't know how historically accurate that is, but apparently historical accuracy doesn't matter, because there was a whole segment on History Channel After Dark called The Man Who Killed Hitler and Bigfoot.
That's impressive.
That's
a resume.
What did Bigfoot do? Hitler, I get. that motherfucker deserved to
working
die.
for Hitler.
It was just a clever
Bigfoot
title.
was a Nazi.
What did Bigfoot do?
He was working for Hitler. He was a Hitler spy. He was trying to invade Canada. It was very...
But see, the Sandman universe...
He deserved what he got.
In the Sandman universe, Sasquatch, or the Squatch, are, friends of the Fae. They're Fae characters. They're not, monsters or these...
I think I just figured out how the first mermaid came to be. Oh, someone found a skeleton of a shark that had half eaten a dude.
Actually, it's just because Christopher Columbus liked to fuck manatees, but we're not...
Yeah, that's the actual... Most people think mermaids were manatees.
Yeah.
That was the actual history of them. It's they got kind of a cow face, but nice body. I'd hit it.
Oh.
So, quote Christopher Columbus. Yeah. So
in that same vein, I don't understand why we.
It's a bummer, and if we get a season 2 of Sandman, or we riot.
I need a season 2 because I want to see Delirium. I need to know who would play my girlfriend.
I saw people were asking about who is going to be cast as Delirium, and so far the response was like, dude, we haven't even been given a season 2. We haven't started casting. I have in mind for someone that I want to see play Delirium, quote, as somebody who speaks in colors.
Yeah.
Like I said, I fan cast Ivana Lynch because when I was reading the book, I imagined Luna Lovegood, but like on LSD. The way Luna talks in Harry Potter, like the dreamy, I would love that. But I just want I just want to see it happen. I will accept whatever. I just want to see it happen. I knew who your
fan casting was. When you commented your fan casting, I had no clue who the fuck that was.
Oh, she was the
Umbrella Academy.
You remember Umbrella Academy? The crazy girl that was the boyfriend of the guy that threw knives in the madhouse.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Also, it's a diversity hire, so it's win-win.
True.
I also really like. Who's the actress?
Oh God! Another one of the Endless is a person of color. No!
Heartbreak. Who is the girl we were just talking about from the Queen's Gambit?
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, I also think she would because she's got the right eyes for it.
Yeah.
She just has to look around like she's Stevie Wonder, and we're there. We're done.
You think she'd be cool with cutting her hair for that? Because Delirium.
I would be cool with her.
Cutting her hair for that.
We're not asking you.
Look, you're an actress. If you're an actress who doesn't want to change her hair, you should have gotten into a different business.
It's
also, you can afford the nice wigs.
Just shave the side of your head, dye the tips rainbow color.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Delirium's got to happen. I've got to have it.
Oh, yeah, we got to have it. Please give us a season 2.
But not only do they have to introduce the rest of the Endless, I need to see...
I'd love to see Destiny's Garden. Oh, man.
Yes, there's so much stuff in there that you could do, and I know they say it's too expensive, but come on. All this is CGI... And if it's not CGI, you're not doing on-location stuff like you are with, The Witcher and whatnot.
That's just a hedge maze. They were making those in the 1700s. You tell me you can't afford to find a hedge maze?
Find a rich person who will rent out their hedge maze
to you. Yeah, about to say, there's got to be a house somewhere. Do a little bit of green screen backdrop.
Gaiman probably has one in his backyard. Just use it.
I don't know how much money you think Gaiman has for being a writer, but I assure you...
He is not just...
He's also married to, a music artist or something.
Oh, they have no money.
I don't think they're married anymore. I think he did. The lead singer of the Dresden Dolls.
I don't.
What's her name? They're divorced.
I saw stuff on the internet at one point, but I don't tend to super get into private lives of these people.
I feel like he is doing. He's not just a writer; he's a successful writer. He
has 3 shows out right now. He's got to be making some money.
Yeah, enough for a hedge maze at least.
True. Yeah, there's hedge maze.
But the point is, yes, we want to see the rest of the Endless, like Delirium. Yeah. Destiny. I want to see Destruction. Who the hell they would cast for Destruction? Because when he kind of looks like Hercules a little bit in the comic books.
Yeah.
But he's red-haired. He's a ginger.
I also want them to keep doing what they did with the end of this season, where the random last episode, the bonus episode, was 2 side stories that we had actually talked about wanting to see.
Yeah, that
explain was some stuff.
Some nice serendipity.
I was like, they kind of didn't come that. The episode kind of messes up the timeline of stuff in terms of the order of the story. Mm-hmm. They could have placed that random episode in between 2 of the episodes.
Yeah. Like
they did in the comic as a one-shoot. I think they should do that more often. Because there's all these mini-stories throughout the overarching story of Sandman.
There are.
Alright, they in the whole episode, at the end, they talk about the sun, they talk about, the rest of the Endless, and, the whole family and their issues.
Yeah.
That's an episode that can be played out. There's other mini stuff, discussing what we're about to discuss here in a minute, post Dynasty, when we talk about the man who lived for 100 years, and that whole little side story of him meeting William Shakespeare. I want to see. I want to see all that.
That's actually an excellent segue, because we talked about the Endless that didn't make it. Now we're going to episode 6, and one of the Endless that did. In fact, man...
Death.
I'm going to say it, and you guys can love it or hate it, but I think the best casting.
Death is amazing.
I thought all the casting was good, but this was the best casting for me.
Alright, so in terms of the actor playing the character, phenomenal.
The energy was right too, and I liked the way that the way that when she sat down, the first thing she did was as a sibling would give him shit.
Yeah.
That, just the energy was right. The way that they played off of each other was sweet and endearing, and also like that siblings giving you shit type stuff.
Can I just say, for once, thank God, we get a sibling casting in the show where it doesn't feel like there's fucking sexual tension between the I say that as a preface to what comes afterwards with Desire. Because that was a whole...
I mean, Desire's entire thing is sexual tension.
I mean,
which brings me to point. Desire was, in my opinion, the perfect casting.
Oh, no, that was amazing.
Also very good casting.
Spot on, look just like the comic book Desire, especially when they're wearing the white suit with the shoulder pads and stuff.
Yeah.
It was good.
I was like, perfect fucking casting. Yeah. But Death and Dream, that whole opening scene with them talking and him sitting moping, feeding the pigeons like the little emo boy that he is.
One of my favorite episodes of the comic, and probably my favorite episode of season 1.
How many times have we seen shows where they cast a brother and sister and they have this weird Lannister feeling about them?
Lannister.
Where like the actors clearly have more than a sibling, relationship. It feels like the actors may have some type of other kindling underneath it, which leads the conversation to feel less sibling-like and more like flirtatious partner-like.
Yeah. Well, that's what I meant by the energy is right. Like they feel
like siblings.
Like siblings. There's not a weird like we could kiss it anymore. Like there's none of that creepy shit happening.
Thank fucking God. Fucking God.
But you can have pretty people on the scene that don't have to like, because the girl playing Death is gorgeous.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful. But
absolutely.
like, they don't have to be all like
she
weird.
Like, I think she read that story repeatedly and she's like, all right, this is my big arc. This is my big part. I think she read that story repeatedly and she just got the emotion now. She got the mannerisms.
It was
she
beautiful.
Got the attitude.
And it really is too. Like she doesn't get another like big scene until she slight spoiler. Until she guilt trips Death about going back to hell for the lady he left down there. Like that's her next big moment.
Yep.
And every time she gets a big moment, it's standing up to Dream, because no one else can do. Except Desire, and Desire does it in such a shitty way. You take Dream's side, even though Dream's kind of a dick.
Dream is
Desire is more of like, I'm doing this just to fucking annoy my brother.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like, I really have no reason to do this other than I know it pisses my brother off, so fuck it.
Yeah,
well,
there's a hate there.
Yeah, there's an antagonism when Desire, because Desire may make valid points, but there's an antagonism that comes with what Desire does that kind of invalidates what they're saying.
It's a deep sibling rivalry.
Yeah. Whereas Dream calls his shit out the very first thing, but she does it in a way that's like, hey, I love you. Yeah, Death, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Death's like, hey, I love you.
Saving us from the comments. Yeah.
But this is fucked up.
Yeah.
You gotta recognize that this shit can't fly. Like, Death, she loves him. Mm-hmm. And Desire, you don't get that feeling.
But it's funny, too, because Death never gets... Like, no one ever gets on Death.
Yeah.
But Death also... Like, there is a funny thing where they're talking about Dreams like, no one came to rescue me. And it's like, why didn't you ask? And I'm like... Oh, so you're both stubborn, Dave. Got it.
Hey, they're family. There gotta be some common traits.
But it was because you automatically take Death's side, but you're like, wait a second, she definitely could have helped before she got asked.
Because didn't he die in that room?
Yeah, wait. But then I remember because you know what, there was comments online that made that fucking joke too. You gotta take it with a grain of salt, and the loophole to that whole argument is the fact that Death straight up says in that episode, well, I'm not there for all of them.
Yeah,
I'm there for most of them.
Yeah.
I'm there for the ones I can't be everywhere all at once.
Dream's like, so you couldn't be for the one right next to me, huh? That's like, yeah, sorry, there was a prime minister in Spain. I was busy. Busy.
There was a bunch of orphans dying. I felt that it was more important to hold 6 children's hands, as I careen them into the afterlife, versus the old wizard that had you trapped in a bunker. I'm sorry.
It's like, I don't want you to comfort the wizard. I want you to show up to the wizard to help me. See, this is why I would not make a good dream.
Honestly, though, he could have sent Jessamy. He could have sent Jessamy at any point before she got murdered to be like, "Hey, go get someone to help me."
That's what I'm saying. They're both stubborn asses. Like, he could have asked anyone except technically Destruction. He could have asked anyone to come get him, and did not.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's because he's super stubborn. And Death knew, like Death says in that episode, like, yeah, I knew where you were. Why didn't you ask me for help? It's like, Oh, do I have to ask? God.
See, that's also a contradictory thing, and it sucks because they kind of stepped on their own toes a little bit because they made that justification.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, earlier in the episode, or later in the episodes, as we go down the line, they bring up his imprisonment again, and they're like, well, we can't interfere in mortal, actions. Like, we can't get involved with that. We literally cannot intervene. That has to be something that, we're either summoned to do or someone else has.
So maybe he has to ask.
Well, no, because it's immediately countered by death. It's like, no, that's your rule. Desire intervenes every fucking second of every day.
Yeah.
It's like, that's because you're a stickler for the old shit. In fact, that's probably why you got caught. You're a stickler for the old rules. You're so stuck in your way. You got a stick so far up your ass, I can see a twig out your nostril. Like, you are Dream, and you are captured by these rules. And, like, that's why he freaks out when Death's like, yeah, I was going to give up my gig for a minute. Like, Dream cannot.
A world without death? Like...
Dream can't understand an endless wanting to give up their job. He loves his fucking job.
He does dreams, though. I imagine that if
it's a funner job.
Yeah, if your job is to go around collecting baby souls, I imagine that gets a little feeling.
Not too proud to say I dropped a tear or two when she took that baby.
Yeah,
that woman coming back around as the one of us with children. That woman coming back around to see her dead, to see the dead child in the crib. I've had nightmares like that. That was.
But the whole thing about this, and
like, that's all I get. It's like, yeah, that's all you get.
She has the hardest fucking job. She has to usher in the
So
elderly.
Of course she maybe thought about quitting.
Yeah, exactly. But even then, he's a little emo prick who's upset and petty, and she's like very optimistic. Death is more optimistic than Dream. How is that possible? Why? I was in solitude for so many years, even though I could have got free.
He was like that before he got put in solitude, too.
Yeah,
he'd been a bitch.
Yeah, actually, according to Fiddler's Green, he's a little more upbeat than before he got in prison, which is hilarious.
He's like, I was expecting to get my shit kicked in. You were much more nicer than I remember now.
Neil Gaiman, though, does explain that he made Death someone that he would want to meet at the end of his life. Like, that is an interview.
And he did a great job.
And he did, because I want Death to be like this.
I want Death to be just like this. But back to something that you said, Goreship, Death's job is hardest because Death makes it that way. If Death just decided to be a completely cold-hearted bitch and just like, yeah, it's your time, that's your time, the reason her job is so hard is because she chooses to try and give comfort.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes her such an endearing character, is because she makes her job hard. She could not give a shit about humanity, and her job would be the easiest. But she makes it hard because she wants you to not be scared of her and of what comes after. And that is fucking... For one of these gods to give a shit about us, they remind you multiple times in the show, they technically work for us. It's our belief in them that gives them power.
Which is a through line in a lot of Neil Gaiman's work. Just a side. Yeah.
Belief is like his if he had one message to give, it's fucking believe. Believe in magic and it will be real.
I wish.
But yeah, I love that about Death. Because again, Death makes that choice every day.
I think I'm pretty positive, if I remember correctly, she had a very small blurb about it. She's like, I don't see what your problem with the living is. I love life.
Yeah.
Like, I love watching these creatures live.
Yeah.
Watching them learn and explore and, make mistakes and get back up again.
And Dream's like, I like feeding the birds.
Yeah!
Like, I can't relate to you. Which makes sense. Like, he loves birds. He's got a pet one. He fucking feeds their pigeons. Dream. Bird lover.
I just I like to keep reminding, I love the addition of Matthew. Yes, it was a little bit quicker in the TV show versus when he showed up in the comics.
Yeah.
But the purpose was served properly by adding Matthew at a time when you needed him the most, because you're a new viewer. You've never read Sandman, right? Yeah. You're watching this show with brand new baby eyes. Yeah. You have no clue what's happening. Matthew is the voice of the audience asking these questions.
Yeah. He's like, I was dead, now I'm a bird. huh?
Like, is there no afterlife?
We're going to hell? Huh? Yeah, he asked the questions for Dream to answer and, like, move them down the road.
Also, he is the voice of the person watching being the motivation to Dream. Like, when they're in hell, and he's like, get up! Dreams don't fucking die!
Yeah.
It's very.
And I was like, clearly, you've never met my parents.
Yeah. You can tell in some parts this was written by a white man.
Or at the very least an optimist. Which is funny considering how he dresses. But yeah. Yeah, anyone that pictures death like this has got to be an optimist. And that's a weird sentence, but there it is.
It was
true.
Fun, though, watching the whole older sister thing with Dream and Death, because she made some very good points. She's like, really? You're going to keep being like this? You've got this, and this to look forward to. Yeah. You're free now. Yeah, you lost that 100 years, but look what it did for you.
Yeah.
Make the most of it. You're free now. Don't forget what your purpose was, and keep doing what
got
you're
your
really
tools,
good.
Man. Yeah. Now you go. You
and didn't they give him the extra little kick in the ass to go finally, finish getting his stuff?
Yep. Well, no, he had already gotten his stuff, but it gave him the extra. I think he had. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gave him that. Yeah, that was the last piece. Yeah, but it did give him an extra kick to go back to work and start improving the
rebuilding the dream,
and also to get those nightmares that had escaped. Like, get his ass back to work. Exactly.
I also really like the way the actress delivered the lines, because you're literally the most self-centered, appallingest excuse for an anthropomorphic personification on this or any other plane. That line, and then when she talks about putting the chairs up and the tables and stuff, the way the actress delivered those lines was really, really good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great actress. And then one thing that's in the comic and they also put in the show, and it's one of my favorite parts, and I'm glad they included it, is that both the baby and the old man both asked the same question. Is that all I get? And I thought, it's magnifique. Because, like, for some people, no matter how much life you get, it's not going to be enough. And I thought it was such a sweet little, like, nod to that, and that the baby and the old man are thinking the same thing. Like, wait, is that it? I don't get a little bored?
It's a good parallel to draw too, because you do have in that episode and in this, you got people from all walks of life.
She goes all over the place.
She goes, there's an old man, there's a baby, there's people playing games, there's someone swimming with their family. Like, there's
that
just
was sad too. God,
there's just such a variety.
Their fucking honeymoon. Yeah. Neil Gaiman twisting that knife.
Yeah, that one. I did like that they added a little extra emotion to the old man rather than him just sleeping on the couch and dying.
Well, he talks a little bit to that.
I like how he's actually like playing his last violin piece. He's like, only one person mastered this, and now I guess no one will because I'm dying with this.
Yeah.
And so he had to play one final recital and then just passed away peacefully.
Yeah. It is nice that
couldn't
they
we all just
peaceful.
hope for that?
Yeah.
Couldn't we all just, except for the kid who winds up getting hit by a car playing soccer. That one I wouldn't wish for.
No.
It was a very.
It was a good reset after all the action that had just happened. To have in the show, to have a episode that was more focused just on like
the emotional side, bringing him back to a grounded base.
Yeah,
and setting up the next storyline, which takes us to episode 7 with Rose. Who is looking for her brother and also gets to meet her grandmother, who was someone who had the sleeping sickness. Yep. So
Unity Kincaid,
who's a very sweet lady, and I really like her. I don't know, butler helper guy.
Yeah,
like what a sweet guy that guy was. Like, what a nice fella.
It is funny though, because they have not addressed it, and I know it's something that keeps getting brought up. The fact that the woman slept for like 100 years. Like, everybody's so much older in the show than it really turns out they really are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
recurring thing. Of course, they added the extra 20 years because of, it wanted to be set in modern times and not having to do time jump stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. But you age slower while you are under the control of the dreaming sickness, so
it's still a hard thing for them to get around. I mean, they added an extra 20 years. I get it for the production purpose.
Yeah,
it's hard for the actual storyline purpose.
No, so, I don't know. For me, sleep for 100 years, sleep for 120 years. No skin off my back. Like, they're both equally hard to step to.
You're like, all right, so she slept from the age of, what, 12?
7, 12, I don't know what.
So she was a
child.
wee child.
Yeah, she was a wee babe.
She was a child, and she slept her whole fucking life. So she's like 108, 112 years old.
And they show her in episode 1. Like, just a little brief thing, and you're like, oh, this is just showing what the sleeping sickness does.
That's what
and
they
then
did
when
in
they
the
come
comic,
back
too.
to it.
That's what they did in the comic, too. Because I remember thinking when I was reading the comic, I'm like, why do I care about Unity Kincaid? Like, what is this?
And the girl who slept.
Yeah. And then it comes back later, I'm like, oh.
Because they're granddaughters.
But I was a little bummed out. They didn't show the other side of that about the guy who never slept.
They briefly mentioned that, like, when they're
talking, people didn't sleep.
Yeah, they were like, some people couldn't wake up, some people were walking sleepwalkers, some people couldn't sleep. Yeah, I kind of missed the story they mentioned about the kid who lied about his age to go to war.
Yeah.
And it was like his 15th birthday, and he was one of the people that got the sleeping sickness where I think he was the one that couldn't sleep, and like he shot himself like 3 days later. But it's depressing enough. I guess you don't have to add that. But that one was a little like, whew, that's sleeping sickness. That's no joke.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This is the storyline with Rose looking for her son, and she gets to go to...
brother.
I'm sorry, brother. And she gets to go to the house of weird neighbors. I call it.
Yeah.
God, which again, right out of the comic, and like all done so well. Barbie and Ken and the Spider Sisters. God damn.
I thought the Spider Sisters was really cool because, like, if I remember correctly, the artwork depicted them as like old.
Well, you never saw them because they were... Yeah, they were
but it's implied that they're old.
Yeah, their hands were old, and they actually had spiders on them most of the time. But they kind of moved a little bit away from that.
I did really...
And they got, what's his name? The dude that was Hedrick in the Angry Inch on Broadway. He was the guy that played the...
Really?
The singer,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm learning stuff.
My brother-in-law told me. I was doing with him, and he brought it up.
That guy did phenomenal as well.
Oh, so good.
Yes.
So good.
I love the song and dance sequence when they're in the club and she's hanging out with all of them for the first time.
Oh, man. When she goes into each of their dreams...
Yep.
So good.
Now, my brain is fogged up on that part because it for some reason didn't retain it as well as the rest of the story arc. So you guys are gonna probably have to remind me parts of this. But was she actually able to do that in the graphic novel? In the comic, was that part of Rose's gift?
But if I remember correctly, and I would have to go get it. I've only got volume 1 out here. I should have grabbed volume 2 as well. But
Hippolyta is actually a substitute for her mom. They kill her mom off. They killed her mom off in the TV show because in the actual comic book, it's supposed to be her and her mom.
She was able to go in dreams, but I think it was because of the witch lady.
I thought it was just the Dream Vortex stuff.
Maybe it was just the Dream Vortex.
Because the witch lady was later, isn't it? Because some of these characters come back later.
Okay, that may be what I'm thinking of. I might be thinking of the round 2 because some of the when she met them feels like it's combined with when she meets them later, but that could be my fuzzy memory because I haven't read
that was the issue that I had because I remember certain characters, but I also remember like, okay, the woman that was with her trying to find her brother was not that Hippolyta character. It was her mom. It was her actual mom, but they killed her mom off. Or got rid of her.
I don't remember her mom being...
Yeah,
I think her mom died.
I thought it was...
It was a relative of some kind, but it wasn't that woman. They added her for the TV show. They combined her role with somebody else.
Possible. Like I say, I'm not...
I do think her mom had still died, though, because she was trying to find Jeb afterwards. Like, that part was... She'd just gotten... whatever money or whatever.
She had just got the inheritance from her mother, so her mother had died. Yeah, I remembered that now because that was why she was able to go on all these fun road trips.
Yeah,
yeah. Because, but man, that's so good. Like that whole thing with her son and how he's trapped in the dreaming and like by a nightmare that doesn't want to be a nightmare anymore.
Look, the amount of love I have for that particular. Gaunt. Yeah. The amount of love I have for Gaunt and the way that story played out, I love Gaunt.
Because who knew that nightmares could feel feelings, right?
Well, it also gives you less sympathy for the Corinthian, because Corinthian's whole argument is you made me this way. I'm only doing what you made.
Whereas
but
John
shows that
like,
that's not true.
It also made me very angry at Morpheus.
Yeah.
After that part.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
That is the whole point.
I watched that episode, and he does what he does with Gaunt, which I know we get to in a minute, but to skip ahead, he does what he does to Gaunt.
This is episode 7 and 8 are so kind of intertwined. We can talk about them.
But he does what he does with Gaunt, and I'm sitting there like, none of this is necessary, and I wish you were back in that fucking bubble. Like, I hate you. Go away.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, while he will make up for his misdeed,
he does.
Yeah.
It's just funny that in that dreaming world, Jed is, again... he's combined with another character in the comic book because in the comic book he's just suffering. Yeah. He's suffering, and the only time that he has fun dreams is when Glob and the other one are looking at
makes
him
the
dream
superhero.
World. Yeah,
and he fights classic Flash villain, the Pied Piper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they also kind of took a bit of his story and combined it with Hippolyta's husband, Henry, where he thought he was the Sandman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah,
they combined those two, which I thought was good, but also very confusing when you introduce her fucking dead husband anyways.
Well, because you have to have the baby.
You have to have the baby.
Yeah, you got to get the baby.
But
somehow.
They explained that in there. Like, you could have kept them separate and still gave him the I'm the Sandman. And because he had a cool costume.
Well, he did, but I think the whole point was that it was wish fulfillment for Hepala. Like, she wanted that family, and she wanted all of that stuff. All of the Sandman extra stuff was cool in the comics, but I don't think it was necessary for the TV show. Cool costumes aside, it was like
I did like it, but as long as you still got the sadness of losing him because finding out that he's
dead.
He's dead and he can't come back. Sorry, I can't dream him into reality. And the baby, like as long as you get those two beats, I'm okay with it. I'm not overjoyed, but I also know when we're having to pull teeth to at least get a season 2, we can't have 20 seasons.
Yeah.
We gotta combine shit. We gotta run season.
Stories. Yeah,
and it hurts. It hurts. I would like to see the longer, drawn out version, but man, with Netflix being the way they are, I just want to see something.
I wasn't as attached.
DC characters. I always forget that.
Yeah,
like this is an extension. Like they can't use DC character property people if they plan on using them in future, stuff. So like you couldn't quite use some of the main DC characters you wanted.
I was super excited when I saw the Flash rogues popping up because the art style was from their first appearances.
Yeah.
So they were so goofy, and then of course the nod to Dr. Destiny, the villain who had the ruby in the comics. Like I was like,
he was clearly
Chef's
kiss. Like, that's John D.
Yeah, Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss.
But
I don't know. I wasn't as attached to that whole storyline with them, with Lita and her husband.
Well, I just thought the fact that like they combined the whole I'm the Sandman character with Jeb and her husband, it lost a little bit of the point of what his motivation was in their little pocket dream world together. He was a superhero protecting her and giving them the life that they always dreamt of. And she kind of, in the comic book, kind of was like, wait, where are we?
Yeah.
I don't remember where we are. Anyways, we're happy. She was just...
I think it actually might be better in the show then, because she makes a choice to want to be there knowing that it's not
She
real.
purposely keeps dreaming. Let's call a spade a spade. She keeps dreaming so she can have wet dreams. Huh? Let's call it what it is, because that's all she's doing. In most of those dreams, all they're doing is having ghost sex, I guess, technically, because he's a ghost.
They're working on his house, right? Like his little architect house.
No, she's not doing a damn thing, because every time she comes in, the house is built. He's building the house. The ghost is building the house. Every time she comes in, something new is added. He's like, I added this, I added this, I added that. She's like, wow.
I made a nursery.
I guess in a dream, you don't have to take breaks. You don't have to take Gatorade breaks. I said, it's a good point. Because I was thinking, like, well, they got to do something else. I mean, I'm 40. I can't just go like that for 12 hours straight. Sorry.
Yeah, but the problem with that is ghost sex. You get pregnant quicker, and the baby comes a hell of a lot quicker.
The baby does come back.
That is the problem with ghost sex.
Also the ghost part, maybe?
yeah.
But I honestly, like, I liked the way, I actually maybe kind of preferred the way that was in the show, because I don't have the same attachment to all these DC characters. Yeah. And so for me, that was just a whole bunch of extra added confusion when I was reading the comic, because I don't know.
For me, and I don't diehard fanboys.
Yeah. For me, and I don't want to speak for Goreship, but I feel like it's probably a similar thing. To see Sandman had been so not your typical comic. Like it's more like a philosophy class.
Yeah.
To have typical comic characters put into that world was like really neat to watch how the bang biff of like a Batman 60s TV show episode would fit into Neil Gaiman's world. It was very cool to watch that.
I don't doubt that at all.
Juxtaposition, but
coming at it
this
from
is
the other
why you're
side.
here, Cecilia.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you more comic.
Well, I don't typically read the same kind of stuff that y'all read, and likewise, like
hence the podcast. All right. Anybody want to say anything else about that storyline and the sad end to it? Where
how did you? I thought the casting for Fiddler's Green was fucking phenomenal.
I love that. Yeah.
Don't know that guy. Hadn't seen him anything else.
I also love that
he looked like him and was cute.
Fiddler's
like
Green.
Yeah.
Isn't that Stephen Fry?
Was it Stephen Fry?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know that guy. What's Stephen Fry in? What do I know him from?
Shit, he's been in a lot of
I don't know anyone's name.
Popular BBC stuff and
he's one of the 4 British actors.
So
I should have said that.
I know he did. I think he did an Oscar.
See, when you say Stephen Fry, I think of the guy from Futurama.
Oh no, that's Philip J. Fry.
Thank you.
Oh,
and Stephen, his brother, maybe, or his dad.
All right, Stephen Fry was in V for Vendetta, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was the.
All right, I pulled up IMDb. Let's see how.
He was the politician.
He was in Wild.
From V for Vendetta, the one that had the TV show.
Vaguely remember him. Yeah.
He was the one that was spitting all that fucking hate speech and
Yeah.
Another movie I need to see again.
He played a great Fiddler's Green. I also really like how the dream sequence of her walking into everybody's dream is they're all kind of like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh, next one."
And a little bit, they're a little shy sometimes. They're like, this isn't what it looks like. Like when Barbie and Ken, and he's trying to get in the car, he's naked. He's like,
I loved that bit. I feel really bad for Barbie. Like, she has such a magical inner world to have to be with someone like Ken, who's just I feel
dreams
bad
of cars
for Barbie.
And sex with hot women.
Yeah.
Look, you can't control what you dream about on any given night. I've had fantasy dreams, and I've had Ken
He's
dreams.
also in Hitchhiker's Guide to the
And
Galaxy.
I've had Barbie dreams, for the record.
You look at the whole Ken's dream, he's like, his is more like a nightmare if you really think about it. He's like naked, stuck outside in a, like, come on, babe, it's not, I don't know what you think happened, nothing happened.
Well, that's only when the dreams start connecting, though.
Yeah. She sees him at that point, because at first he's just banging the girl in the car, and then the wife rides up on the horse from her dream.
I thought that he was banging her in the dream.
No.
It was a different
It was the bartender lady or something. Like, it was just some random chick he saw and thought was hot.
Because they talked about it later. They were like, oh, so Susan from the bar. He's like, oh, come on. Come on.
But that happened when the dreams started connecting. When she first walks through everybody's dreams, Barbie's got that whole, like, fantasy world with the talking polar bear. And I'm like, this woman wants to be so much more than what she's getting in life. I feel really bad for her.
Get in line, lady. Okay.
It might have been a bit of self-projection. I'm not going to deny, but like...
It's quite all right. But yeah, Fiddler's Green. Like,
I
felt like Rose, even though I know how the story goes, I was like, oh, Rose is safe. She's with Fiddler's Green. Which made no sense.
None.
Because I know the story.
Like, he has no handle whatsoever on this situation.
He has this aura of safety, though. Like, which makes sense because he's Fiddler's Green.
Yeah,
like,
that's the whole point.
Perfect sense. Yeah. I was like, oh, I feel safer just because he's around.
Alright, so with the introduction of Fiddler's Green,
right,
this leads into the next part of that I was really happy with. Did anybody else cheer or, be like, fuck yeah, when Corinthian killed Jed's aunt and uncle? Anyone?
Yeah.
I wasn't, or the
cool
foster parents or whatever. I was not sad.
Foster.
The ones that had him locked in the basement.
Called him his uncle.
Yeah. The ones they had locked in the basement.
They got killed, and I'm like, yep, that was right.
I already love the Corinthian. That just made me be like, all right, I'm adding him to my, if I ever go by this. That's a horrible accident. Nothing's happening. Everything's fine. Anyway, I just added him to my buy list. Look,
the Corinthian is on the list.
He's on the list.
Yeah. and all those people who were like, oh, the Corinthian's too gay. I was like, was his orientation ever addressed in the comics? No, shut the fuck up.
He eats eyeballs. I don't think he
That was
sometimes he has sex first and then eats eyeballs, but if anything, he's bi because he sure was flirting with what's his face's mom too. Like they did that little tete-a-tete. Are you flirting with me? Are you flirting with me? So the guy obviously swings both ways.
He gets more dick in the show than anybody else.
That is accurate.
Let's be honest, because
he
goes to try and find a Rose at her apartment. She's already that had to have been very frustrating for him. Yeah. He's got to do the human travel. He can't travel like a normal fucking he's
got to take the trip bus.
So he goes from Florida, where he was already at, to her fucking place in I guess the city in Chicago. Yeah. Then he's like, oh, she's not there. Alright, well, I'll fuck her roommate. So he fucks his
Get some
roommate.
info. And some eyeballs.
Oh, she's back in Florida. Okay.
Damn it.
Yeah. Goes back to Florida. Finds Jeb. Takes him with
Which is
the
why
serial killer... Sorry, not serial killer. The serial convention.
Which is why it makes perfect sense that the Corinthian goes to that. Because he's like, I'm kind of sick of this fucking job. I'm going to take a break. Have some of my fans tell me how great I am because he's an egoist, of course.
Yep. Well, he was made by Dream.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
Yeah, game recognized game.
It's a reflection of himself.
And by luck, circumstances, and a little bit of planning, the people he wants just end up there too. How lucky. How fortunate that everyone's in... Yeah, serial convention. Very well done.
That was a great episode. I liked how they had all the different people checking in and their, like, pseudo-names.
Yeah.
And, like...
That was cute.
Oh, and the different panels.
Yes.
Like the women's lib panel where they're like, women can kill just as good as men. Why don't... And the religious panel where like, I'm killing people for Jesus. God, the panels
I do not agree with this infidel killing in the name...
If there was ever just a quicker summation of fascism than those two people who agree 98% of the way, being like, this 2% that we don't agree on is why we can't be friends.
We're gonna kill each other. And that's when Fiddler's Green realizes what the fuck's going on. Like, he goes to like 3 different rooms before he figures it out. Which once again goes back to it being completely stupid that I was like, she's sane. She's with Fiddler's Green.
Now, I know it was...
That guy chooses to believe in the best in people, and it sometimes bites him in the ass.
I know it was a lot darker in the comic, but the fat guy with the, like, Disney ear...
I don't know. I thought it's pretty equally creep-tastic.
In the comic books, they showed him actually like dragging a kid into the room and trying to rape him.
Oh,
right?
I don't remember that.
I remember they don't actually show it or whatever, but they do show him like attacking a young.
There's heavy implications.
Yes, at least in the show, he tries and he gets stuck. He's like, stops.
Yeah.
The Capri Sun drinking.
Because Corinthian was about to fucking kill him.
Which again. Corinthian, my hero, man.
There are moments.
There are times when you side with the Corinthian.
Yeah.
Do they ever explain in the comic, and maybe I've forgotten, what exactly Dream did make Corinthian for?
He was the first nightmare.
But is he?
Not the first.
He explains that Dream was supposed to be Corinthian was supposed to be something.
I think, and I don't know if they explained this, but I think he was supposed to be a serial killer, but a nightmare serial killer. And like, I think the fear that people have of serial killers was kind of his game. And then he just took it out into the real world.
Morpheus gained some spiel about how, like, you're supposed to teach them stuff through their nightmares.
Right, they're supposed to learn to conquer their fears through you.
But I wonder if, because the moments where you end up rooting for Corinthian, and this is just the thought I had at the moment, are moments where he uses violence to exact some form of
justice.
Well, I would say revenge, but yes, kind of.
I'll say justice.
I mean, uses, child abuse and then murdering them. Yeah, that's justice.
It's still revenge too, though. But there is the moments where you end up
both.
The moments where you end up rooting for him are those moments where he uses violence to enact some form of retribution.
Yeah, there you go.
So, if the purpose of a nightmare is to help you overcome those fears, is Corinthian supposed to be that kind of, like, choosing that kind of violence for yourself? As opposed to
very good question.
Yeah,
as opposed to just being a serial killer? Because I don't know how... I'm not someone who's examined brains enough to know exactly how a serial killer becomes something that is common.
I don't believe that woman's ever been to medical school.
I'm going to kick you. But I don't think that serial killers were common. So I don't understand why they would be a common nightmare.
I mean, it's kind of like I, in real life, have never been running down a darkened hallway with something chasing me and not knowing what it is, and all the doors are locked and the hallway goes on for infinity.
But those fears,
still a very scary nightmare that I can have.
But those fears, like that fear of being chased by something that you don't know what it is probably like a Neanderthal related.
It's a fear of commitment. All my nightmares are fears of commitment. Every single one.
What if the Corinthian chasing people in their dreams is like a symbolic metaphor for them running away from their homosexuality tendencies?
So only
does that explain the mouth teeth in some way that I'm not catching? I'm not.
I don't know. I didn't create the character. Gaiman did, but I'm just trying to find some type of justification for this. He
has constantly said that he wishes it was gayer, so probably not. Yeah, so that's probably something that
or maybe only homophobes dream of the Corinthians.
There you go. And they assume gay guys, like, you know, they look at you and they're going to steal your soul. And maybe that's what, like, the chomping eyeballs for the Corinthian is, like, he's going to chomp away at my soul just by looking at me.
The eyeball teeth never made any sense to me.
I honest to God just thought the fucking dream was on mushrooms. It was like, oh fuck, this will be cool. This will scare the shit out of him. He's gonna have dark shades, so you won't know. They will lift it up and be like, oh my god, I'm fucking genius. Now I'm gonna make a fucking unicorn, but his legs are gonna be hot dogs. Like,
I was just trying to figure out what the original
for
purpose for Corinthian could be.
Yeah,
because
I think you have a perfectly valid theory.
You know what? It doesn't matter what his original purpose is now because it's been so lost and muddled. I don't even know if Dream remembers it. But the point remains that he can reconstruct Corinthian again to make a new purpose for him, just like he did with Gaunt. Because you know what?
Which is what he's working on at the end of episode 10. Is you see him remaking them on the shores of that lake, of that ocean, lake.
Well, at that point, he's a giant hole in the head. That's all he is at that point.
Yeah.
And it's a little creepy. It's like tongue and teeth hanging out of the mouth, but no fucking head.
I feel like that's an homage to who's the painter that always did like the people and their head was a hole, and then there'd be like an apple hanging on a string in it.
I do not know.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't remember the name.
I don't want to say it.
I know what art you're talking about.
Yeah, but that's what it made me think of. Like, it even had the similar skyline in the back, and that may have not been intentional, but knowing Neil it was, because, man, that guy cannot pass up a chance to put, like, 80 subtle little
It's why it's so much fun to read his shit,
Oh, absolutely. No, this is not a critique. This is, Neil...
Don't change.
Neil, I know you're listening. Don't change. Keep this.
So we go from the serial killer convention, to the Corinthian finally...
Facing Dream?
Oh, we missed all of the stuff with Lucian and Dream telling her to back the fuck up off. Like,
no, we talked about that last time. We talked about how...
That happens in one of these episodes, though, because...
Well, we jumped around a bit, but please...
it just...
Bring it up again.
That bothered me a lot, because Lucian did all of this work while he was being a stubborn asshole in a bubble.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and is like, I don't need you anymore. Go back to being a librarian.
Ooh.
And I'm just like... And this came, like, right on the heels after... Because it happened right after Gaunt, and I was already, like, fucking mad at him.
When Merv comes up to him and is like, oh, do you know where Lucian's at? Fucking love Mark Hamill. You know where Lucian's at? I was like, what do you need Lucian for? He's like, oh, I'm just trying to figure out how I should pick this. Why are you asking him? You asked me.
Yeah.
I'm the Dream. Oh, well, while you were gone, I just talked everything to Lucian. My bad.
Yeah.
So
got so fucking offended.
And but that happened right after Gaunt, so I was already mad. Yeah. And then he's just like doubling down on being absolutely insufferable.
Yeah.
I just wanted to toss that out there because I really liked Lucian.
Oh yeah, another great another great casting.
Shocker when he actually apologizes. The world.
Look, I bet that killed him on the inside. Like,
I like how just everyone's jaw dropped. Everyone's like. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, but
it's the beginning of a long journey of...
at the end of the serial convention, Fiddler Green shows up in the library.
Yeah.
And then tells everybody what's happening.
What's the dealio, and tells Dream where to go, and... Oh, man.
He's like, this is how you find them, and, winds up saving the day.
Yeah, you do.
Maybe that's why you feel safe.
Maybe that is, yeah. I feel safe in the green. That's how I'll say
But at the same time, he's like, I know I'm probably going to get murdered and sent back to oblivion, but Dream, I have to tell you about this.
Yeah.
And Dream doesn't punish him. He is mad when he first sees him. He's like, you left. Yeah. He's like,
I wanted to see. I wanted, He had a perfectly innocent...
And he came back for Rose and her brother, which is so sweet. He's like, they're in danger. You can punish me later, but we have to go stop the Corinthian from being the Corinthian.
Green had a perfectly innocent explanation for wanting to just go be somewhere.
Well, 2 out of 3 of them did. Only the Corinthian... And honestly, I feel like his was kind of innocent too. He doesn't understand morality. Yeah. And honestly, Dream, in a fair bit of adulthood at the end, when he's unmaking him, which I wonder if people who don't know Neil Gaiman and don't know the Sandman were like surprised at the lack of like fight. Like they're like, oh shit, Dream and the Corinthian is going down.
He does that a lot. Yeah. Well, he does that because he did the same thing with John Dee in the comic and in the show. It goes from, oh, you're about to be destroyed to mad. Like
I'm one of the endless stupid.
Like there's not a lot of like fisticuff. Nobody's getting punched in the face or shot in the back.
No, that's just not his role, and I'm there for it 100%. But I just wondered, like I wanted to ask my sister and my brother-in-law while we were watching it, like, so what'd you think of that fight? Because it was just Corinthian being like, you know what,
I'm gonna stab you, and then just.
And he's like, "Fuck you, man!"
it's like a Thanos snap happening.
It really was.
As he went to go stab him, he's like, "Ah!"
Corinthian's like, "I feel cold, Mr. Stark."
It was just, I can't drive home enough the point that the casting for this show really went above and beyond expectations. Yeah, like Death and Corinthian were probably my 2 favorite castings.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think there was a bad casting.
We also missed Cobb. Just a side note. We need to go put a pin.
You wanna...
No. I'm just.
Well, that was a small blurb, but that's connected to the whole thing with Death. That whole conversation.
Oh yes, but yes, Hobb, the live forever man. I will say. God, I don't want to go back. We're so close to the end. But no, we're going to jump back because I do just want to say that I like that they didn't steer away from the fact that he was a slaver for like 100 years. He was just like, it was slavery. It was cool.
The one time Dream has something that resembles morality is like, hey, honey, you shouldn't do that.
Well, it's interesting because it makes his imprisonment more sad too because he's like,
But he still put his girlfriend in hell.
Yeah, he did.
I do not.
He was like, you shouldn't imprison people against their will.
These little
unless it's in hell, because that's different. Lucifer's he's in charge there. What can I do?
Well, that's why I want them to do more side story episodes like they did with,
He recognizes that it's wrong. I just can't with him.
He hasn't forgiven her yet. Give him a break.
Because they explain that in a little one-off blurb in the comic, and they...
Well, no, it's a whole issue.
That's what I'm saying. It's a one-shot.
Yeah, okay.
Not one-off. One shot.
Oh, gotcha.
Let me correct myself. And it was so funny watching it for the first time with people, and they're like, who the hell... Where did that young black kid come from? Who is that? I was like, that's Morpheus. That's Dream. Yeah. And they're like, oh, so he looks different to everybody who sees him? I'm like, yeah, every culture has a different depiction
Another
of Dream.
Good reason to have the Dream of a Thousand Cats episode, because you see him as a cat there. Mm-hmm. And it's like... If you didn't catch it in the Lucifer episode, you're like, oh, everyone sees Dream as a dream.
And that's why I feel like they need to go back and revisit which they probably will when he goes and saves her from hell in season 2.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it is not saving her. When he finally realizes how fucked up he was,
it's not saving when you
he does not get to be the hero in this situation, okay?
No.
He saved Calliope. He recognized he was wrong. With the girl in
he
hell.
Tried to make it right.
Saving is bad. Rectifying. Freeing from his fucking grumpy ass mistake because she disobeyed me. The stupidest fucking logic ever to send her to hell.
I mean,
like I said last time, repeatedly, that's some incel logic. We got some incel behavior.
Which I say that's how I roll.
But with
don't disobey me. I only have one rule: never disobey me. Why is that so?
David Bowie in the Labyrinth. Okay, we've done this.
I will be your slave. Just do as I say. Even when I was 8, I was like, Goblin King. I'm a little lost here. Who's in charge of who here?
This is some weird BDSM shit you got going on.
It's okay because we're each giving 100%.
And so, if they do that side story, I would like to see the side story arc of the William Shakespeare thing.
Yeah.
In that Hobbs story, you see him approach William Shakespeare, and Hobbs gets jealous because he's like...
His boyfriend's paying attention to someone
else.
else.
Wait, he's going to give him another gift? Like, he better not get to live for 100-something years.
Right. It's like, he'll live even longer than you, buddy. Yeah. Sorry.
And people will actually know his name, because he doesn't have to change it every 100 years.
Change it every 40 years. Yeah, bummer.
And then it was cool, because at the end of that whole Hobbs story, Dream finally sucks his fucking ego up, because he got so offended that Hobbs had called him a friend.
Yeah.
He's like, you think I need fucking friends?
Again,
you think I need a mortal friend?
Just
you
one
think
of those,
that you're my friend?
One of those little signs that he's becoming not such an asshole.
I would belittle myself to be friends with a human? Bro.
Yeah, and I have a question that I can't ask for like 5 more seasons, but it's I'm interested in your guys' input, or I'll just ask it when we turn this off.
Okay. On a side note with the Hobbs stuff, real quick.
Okay.
There's a scene where his hair is kind of like mid-length. He looks like Severus Snape. Again, tying it back to Harry Potter. I'm like, this little skinny emo motherfucker over here looking like Snape.
I said to my sister while we were watching that, I was like, 20 points to Slytherin! Because yes, he absolutely does.
He looks like a fucking cosplayer.
And you know what's funny is ever since reading the graphic novels, and I had told both of you this, I believe, when we were all reading them. I was like, every time I read Morpheus in my head, I hear Alan Rickman. Every time I heard Morpheus, I heard Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
And so it's ironic that you say that he looked like a young
Severus Snape. He did, though.
He does. He fucking does.
Okay, let me tell you, if Rickman was alive, he would be in this show.
Oh, he would
absolutely.
I'm not sure where he'd be, but he would, you could not cast him.
He'd probably play Destiny.
That'd be great.
Alan Rickman as Destiny would have been...
Such a good Destiny.
If he wasn't Morpheus, I mean, he's a little older to play Morpheus.
Yeah.
You know what? It doesn't fucking matter. He could have played Morpheus and fucking killed it still.
Yeah.
I'd have watched it.
Yeah. Nothing but respect for Alan Rickman.
Oh, yeah.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. Love. So, they handle that whole dream vortex thing and save the world of the dreaming, like they do.
Well, hold on. Before they save the dream world, they have to,
I like Rose,
would you call it a forced exorcism?
Yeah.
Would you say it's a forced exorcism when Dream, pre-saving the dreaming, he's like, hey, this little dream pocket you got with your ghost friend has helped contributing to the destruction of my dreamscape.
Yeah.
Your husband's dead. The dead do not belong to the dream. Go! And just snaps his ass out of existence.
Yeah.
And she has to just watch her husband literally turn to a fucking zombie.
He is not good at peopling.
And then turns and is like, that baby's my baby. When it's born, I'm coming back for it.
Well, not when it's born. One day. It's worse than that.
Oh, yeah.
When it's born, at least you know.
Yeah.
One day I will return.
One random day, when everything seems fine, your child is just going to disappear.
Here's the thing. I feel like that's a kindness. Don't get too attached, all right?
That is impossible, though. She was already attached.
I know.
I mean, in the comic,
the last thing of that dude...
She at least has him for 5 years.
The last thing that you remember of that dude I just killed, I need it back. It's only a loner. It's only a loner. But yes.
I liked Rose because Rose kicks Dream out.
Dream vortexes ain't nothing to fuck with.
How did you feel about her just slamming the door on Dream in his own fucking kingdom?
I think that's what shows us how dangerous a dream vortex is.
It does.
Because up until that point, you've just got Cain and Abel and librarians telling you it's dangerous.
Love Cain and Abel. Love Cain and Abel.
Yeah. They were beautiful.
They were beautiful. We spent time gushing over them. And
but
part one. If you didn't hear part 1, go back to it for some Cain and Abel love.
You also, don't skip.
This will say part 2, you fools.
But no, I really at that point though, we had spent so much time with Rose that I really enjoyed her character, and Morpheus was just being such an ass so consistently.
She was the hero of that story.
Yes, yeah.
Morpheus was not.
By the end of
I had to keep telling my sister, Morpheus, not a hero.
No.
See, you look at him like this. Look at Morpheus as
force of nature,
a government agency. Morpheus is like a government agency where he wants overall contingency. He didn't give a fuck about the individual. Whereas Rose is like, I'm worried about the individual people involved.
These are my friends.
Yeah.
These are my family.
This one woman's been with me for ages.
They matter to me.
Yeah, they're important. You can't just treat them like they're fucking not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really did appreciate Rose being like, "You're gonna get the fuck up out of
here." Well,
he
needs that. Like Constantine did it to him earlier.
Yeah.
And then Rose did. Like he needs that lesson drilled into his weird pointy head, like 100 more times before it finally sticks. But
he gets there.
He gets there. That's the important part.
I mean, still got a long, slow burn.
Yeah. Well, again, depending on how long Netflix wants to light this candle for.
I thought that the way that they showed the dream vortex was interesting, and the way that the Rose just went like pulled it out of herself.
Cool.
That was really neat.
Yeah. And Fiddler's Green. I love that guy.
I also liked how, in wrapping up that dream vortex aspect, Unity Kincaid finally came back into play. She finally served her purpose, like in the comic books, of what she was supposed to be, so nobody had to truly die.
Yeah.
She was like, I didn't really get to live a life anyway, so might as well as go ahead and let me just end it.
Well, and she's
I'm
older.
certainly not going to let them kill my granddaughter.
Yeah, exactly. My
this isn't
granddaughter
an
that I
option.
just met.
Yeah,
I'm not going to let them just...
She just found her brother. Like, we got a lot of stuff going on. I am also an old woman at this point.
Yeah.
Like, all of
I missed my young years.
Unfortunately,
when she was...
Roderick fucked everyone up.
When she was talking to her assistant, her whoever their live-in accountant or assistant was, the really cool dude, whenever she was talking to him about getting her affairs in order, I was like, oh, I know what she's about to do.
Yeah, she got plans.
She's like, I'm leaving everything to, Rose and Jeb if she finds them. They will be the owners of my estate, all my...
And at that point, I was like, I wish Unity was my grandmother. And I had a wonderful grandmother, but damn! That would... my heart went out
big old
to
property
her.
in England, all those riches that she somehow still inherited, and...
Cha-ching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because they glance over the whole aspect of Unity explaining the dream vortex thing of how it happens. She's like, well, I was stuck in the dreaming forever. I was stuck in between when the sleep sickness happened. But on top of that, they I know it's not something they want to talk about, but Rose's mom was a byproduct of rape. Yeah. How else would that fucking woman have had a baby in her sleep?
Well, not just a rape by desire. Because she's like, I remember the golden eyes.
Yes, okay, thank you.
But it didn't... I've seen conflicting opinions about how that is interpreted. I think in the comic it's pretty much a rape. Like
in the comic it is the first part of Kill Bill.
Yeah. But in the show it made it sound like that she
just had a wonderful dream and it turned out she was
her
pregnant.
Golden-eyed man.
Yeah.
Well,
she was more willing.
Yeah, it made it sound in the show like she was more willing.
Yeah. Which is weird because Desire's a villain. You don't have to try and save them. This is what
we were talking about. We were talking about the subtlety of changing for modern TV to get rid of the vulgarity of rape.
Well, the thing is, the villainy still exists because the point of the coupling is to make Dream kill someone in his family.
Right.
She doesn't have... Sorry. She doesn't have to rape Unity for that to happen.
Right. And
Unity, she's a victim.
Absolutely.
Even if Desire made the dream sweet and romanced her or whatever,
it was still false pretense.
It was still false pretenses, and the point.
If I could dance in people's dreams, I made myself looking like Brad Pitt. That is cheating. That is cheating.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. It's like the comparison of reality TV, the TV depiction versus the comic book depiction, where it was obviously more implied as a rape. It was a rape.
It was rape.
As this one, it was more like, I fell in love with this beautiful dream man
with the golden eyes.
The second that she said golden eyes,
everybody's eyes were like,
Dream is about to kick some ass, and then that's when we get the sad goodbyes, farewells. Unity, Jeb, go live a happy life. I mean, Unity, you disappear with me back into the dream, become part of the dreaming forever. Rose, Jeb, you go live a happy life, be rich. Take care of each other. Yep. And then Dream's like, all right, everything's back in order. I'm going to start rebuilding the dream. But first, desire!
Which, I like that change, though.
Yeah.
I like the lack, and I've said it before, because in Calliope they do still stick to the rape. But I do...
It's a tasteful... there's no tasteful way to say tasteful rape. Right. Sorry. Yeah. It's the cinematography. The tasteful cinematography of implication.
It also makes more sense.
Because
there is no desire in rape. Rape is a power play. So, for Desire to have raped someone, it seems kind of counter to what desire does.
And rape is the desire for control.
Well, I guess you could say that.
But rape is about power. It's not about desire.
Yeah.
It is, in desire, you would imagine that if part of what they do is implant in a person or draw out to the surface a person's desires,
right,
then it should be possible for them to make someone willing, to put them in the right kind of mood that would make them willing, or something. Like, that should be something that is within the realm of desire's abilities.
Yeah. Speaking of being put in moods and desire's abilities, what the hell was up with that weird incestual sibling grab her from behind and yank their head? I was just like,
we have the opposite of the death dream thing going on.
Yeah. This is the exact opposite of what we were talking about. I was like, oh, it's nice to see that sibling, camaraderie and actual relationship. Whereas this is like, there's a hatred there, but it's like, yo, are y'all about to hate fuck each other? It felt
I'm
very
not sure I mean, I don't think you can react to desire any other way. Like, even when you're trying...
They are beautiful, I will say this.
And I don't even mean the obvious truth that, lovely, but I just mean, that's desire. That's the personification of desire. I don't think anyone's completely immune to it.
I love how they got desires layered exactly like
perfect.
The comic.
So good.
It's just this giant, like...
shrine to desire with the red beating heart.
I still have my gripes about how Despair should have looked more grotesque. I'm sorry. She's looked like...
I think she looks...
She looked like an average woman I would see out on the street.
I know, but she...
didn't look any fucking more terrifying.
I think that's how Despair looks nowadays, though.
Just a woman with greasy hair?
Well, it looks like trying not to give up. Like, that is...
and failing.
She was wearing regular...
She looked like all of us felt during COVID.
Okay.
that is the despair that she is specifically representing, I think.
I understand
I liked the despair from the comics, and I do wish she looked like that.
As hell.
But I absolutely get why she looks the way she does, because again, she looks like COVID felt.
Well, she looks human almost. Like, she looks, and all of them do, but like, she looks, in the comic, she looked more...
She was just an overset.
She's kind of a gargoyle woman.
Yeah. She.
It was
in the TV show. She's depicted as just a run-of-the-mill, average-looking woman who is heavier set with greasy hair that maybe hasn't been washed in like a week.
Yeah.
And needs a toothbrush. That's about it. She's wearing blue jeans, an ugly sweater, and like some boots.
She's still inflicting the harm.
She's cutting herself, but. To Dean's point, she should have looked more like a gargoyle. Like, you can do that with Gaunt and, make them look like a nightmare who is like...
But nightmares aren't supposed to look that human. Like, fucking Corinthian has teeth eyeballs. Like, I don't...
He does.
But my main point was just the fact that I felt like, yes, they could have kept her still looking more humanoid, but they could have kept her looking more... disgusting.
We didn't get enough...
Sorry, I wanted a grosser looking Despair. Is that so wrong?
I also wanted...
If you're going to lean into her being fat and greasy, really go overboard with it.
I mean,
that's fair. They're supposed to be personifications of... And it's what people believe in. I feel like that's an accurate...
Despair in 2020 would look different than Despair in 1984. Maybe. But here's the thing. I...
Maybe
also would have liked to seen a more monstrous Despair, but I didn't see enough of this Despair to come to a conclusion. Like in season 2, she'll be here a lot more, and I'll be able to more decide, like, okay, I'm here for it.
Also, I want to see her layer, because I know in the comics her layer is fucking creepy. It looks like something Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Nightmarish.
Well,
alright, we've only got one more episode to go. It's the two-parter, A Dream of a Thousand Cats and Calliope.
Before we switch to that, remember, the ending of that final episode with Lucifer being like, one day...
Well, yeah, you get trapped between Lucifer and Desire. Yep. Like, both of them just like, oh, we'll get you next time. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt
That's a not good place
good
to
cliffhanger.
be.
Yeah, good cliffhanger.
And of course, the people I was watching with, they were like... So wait, are Desire and Lucifer working together, or like what's?
Nah, this bitch has got 2 kills.
They both just fucking hate him.
He got 2 different kill
The
plans.
man makes
going.
enemies. Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
And the thread from both of those threads is that the one common thing is they're 2 separate threads connected by the fates.
Yep.
By the 3 sisters. The 3 sisters are the one thing connecting both of those dangling strings.
Yeah.
I wonder if they weren't trying to, like, pull them to killing Dream for them.
Very possible.
They have a grudge.
They do.
They've got a grudge.
And they're the fucking fates.
And
like,
they can't act on it themselves, so...
Might as well. Maybe they were fucking with Desire.
Well, they have a couple of grudges, if you really think about it. They have a couple of very distinct grudges with Dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One for their daughter. Or was it their sisters?
Who they did not... Cersei, right? They did not help... He did not help... He was like, where were you when Cersei was... being slain by Disney. I don't remember the exact
And then on top of
line,
that, the child that he birthed with Calliope, their
Orpheus.
Yeah, their grandson.
Right. Which that one's not yet I mean, now it's more of a just like, you don't ever visit your son anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get too deep into that.
With that being said, the original final episode leads off with the whole dangling thread of Desire and Lucifer are both coming for your fucking neck, Dream.
Yeah.
Guard it.
Protect your neck.
Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a good way to end the season.
It was. And then it gave us a little
happy
extra episode.
Yes, I was so happy with the bonus episode.
Yes. Dream of 1,000 Cats. We'll start there.
I wanted this episode so bad.
As a cat lover.
We talked about this, and I was like, I really hope they do this. I really hope they do this. And I was not mad that it was animated. It made perfect sense that it was animated.
Honestly, how else would they have done it?
I didn't want to see it like Babe in the City, where they just like CGI the cats talking. Just animate it.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no other way to do
also,
that.
The all-star voice acting cast.
Oh,
yes.
Beautiful.
You had David Tennant, Martin Sheen, James McAvoy.
Yeah.
Like, those 3 right there alone.
Like David Tennant wasn't gonna make an appearance.
Yeah, but you know what? David Tennant is the piece of shit that kills kittens.
I know.
Oh yeah,
that
he
made
was garbage.
me so mad.
Once again,
my God.
you take someone for Doctor Who and make them a monster. Which they did again in part 2 with Calliope.
And
Rory, what are you doing?
That statement connects with the whole going back to, like, I love how every time we see a new iteration of Dream, it lines up with who's seeing them.
Yeah.
So, David Tennant's character that he voices is just like, oh, we've got a purebred cat. She's
I fucking hate that
guy.
I hate that guy so goddamn much. Even if those kittens were worthless, you could have let her take care of them and then gave them away for $20 a pop to the neighborhood. Yeah. Like, you didn't have to do
$0 a pop. You could have just gave them away.
He felt like what he was saying, it felt like all the shit that I've heard so many people, how do I say this without saying classes? So many upscale, middle-class rich people that I know have pets feel about their pet getting knocked up by a stray. Yeah. Like, well, now my fucking dog is ruined, or now my cat's ruined because they got knocked up by someone that's not a purebred that I didn't okay with. Yeah. So I guess we just throw the fucking lot of them out.
Can't get that first litter money back.
Yeah.
Again.
And it was just so
And I don't want to clean up after these kittens, so...
It was just so sweet watching her be like, yeah, I found this cat. I fell in love with him. I chose him as my mate. And then, he was gone. I was like, well, he hit it and quit it. So,
yeah, good for him.
The typical nature of a cat. He hit it and quit it.
Yeah.
And then she was like...
She wasn't mad. That's how cats work.
Yeah, she loved her baby. She was ready to be a mommy and to take care of all of her little...
And the dude's like, she doesn't even know they're gone. Like,
and she was just sulking and crying in front of the fire. And then she had the dream in front of the fire, and I was like, oh my God, this is exactly like the comic.
Yeah.
With the giant fucking crow, skeleton crow or whatever it was.
It's perfect,
Yeah.
It made me so angry. I spent that whole episode mad at white men. I'm just
More than you usually are?
Yes, it was ramped up a little bit. We haven't even got to Calliope yet.
Yeah, but that one I figured would drive that home.
Hashtag not all white men. I'm sitting right here. Right here, Cecilia!
This only applies to half of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So half of me is offended. The other half of me is like, gee.
It's the gore part, not the ship part.
But it was so beautiful. I like the art. I like the way it was.
When they're playing with the people, throwing the naked people and the huge cats, or throwing the naked people.
The way they got to showing the griffin, the dragon, and what was
the guards,
the
unicorn, Pegasus.
The three of them. Those were voiced,
has wings. It's a Pegasus.
Those were voiced by other famous actors. I can't fucking remember.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they had a couple people from Game of Thrones in there as well.
Nice.
but seeing the giant Morpheus cat.
So cute.
I was so happy to see that. I saw that, and then when he started explaining the origins of how the cats really were, and then we changed it by dreaming it.
Yeah.
I was like, I remember that panel. I remember watching that cat just
such a cool idea.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of, going back to classism, a kind of interesting notion of like the proletariat rising up. Yeah. Like the people in this dream were powerless until they dreamed something different.
Yeah, and then they made it a reality.
Yeah, the one part that stuck out to me is, I don't know if it was the same in the comic book, but I know in the show, the cats, before they were taken over, like, shrunk back down, Dreamhead mentioned something about, a man spoke to them, a man, like golden hair and eyes, spoke to them, and they rose up and they dreamed it into reality. I was like,
oh, did it? I didn't.
I didn't
catch.
You mentioned golden hair and golden eyes. I was like, is that desire, like speaking through a human? And that was their desire.
I mean, if you say golden eyes, you got to be talking about desire. But
it was a very subtle thing that was said. It was very, very subtle. Like it was just him describing the person who woke up the humans to change the world that the cats were living in.
I gotcha.
But I love seeing the visuals of. They kind of took an old school approach, and when I mean an old school approach of the animation, they basically took what looked like actual real people, and then did what Ralph Bonsky did with the old. You remember the Lord of the Rings films from like the 70s and 80s, the animated ones, where it was actual live people that were just drawn over the animation. Yeah. That's what they did for the show, The Cats. No. They had real people, but they just drew over it. With
real people getting tossed up into the air by cats.
Well, I mean, you know what I meant. When they're running from, but that was really cool. I loved how that was all played out, and I also loved how it was like she's like, now I go and spread the good gospel of the cat lord.
Yeah, and
I also really liked the kitten. The kitten was so fucking cute,
and I like the cat that like, even though he doesn't buy this, he takes the little kitten to the show and brings it back, and the little kitten's like, "Oh, you think it's gonna happen?" He's like, yeah, I've never seen anyone get 4 cats to agree to something, much more every cat. Yeah. So, good luck, kid. And he's like, well, I believe I'm going to do it.
And he starts dreaming.
Yeah. It's like, what do you think he's dreaming about? That's like,
It was just such a cute episode.
Yeah. It was very cute. In fact, I kind of think they should have put them in the opposite order.
No. They needed to lighten you up a little bit to take a little bit of the sting away from what was coming next.
Well, I feel I would rather have that light come at the end of the tunnel and not at the beginning.
No, it's the age-old philosophy of you gotta warm somebody up, tender them up, butter them up, and then bam, slapping them out. That's you have to lure them into the false insecurity. Any good writer, you know this. Any good writer will do that to you. They'll lure you in, you in. And then right when you have your guard down, they're going to pop you off. Yeah. And they're going to make you feel something.
It hurts more when you're not expecting.
Whether that's feeling anger, sadness, joy, they're going to pop you real hard with whatever emotion.
But that episode was so cute, though. Yeah. And, that episode was so adorable. And you go into it and you start with Rory and you're like, I know what you're going to do, but I loved you.
I didn't, you know what? At first I didn't realize he was going to be that guy. I thought he was going to be the dude that gave the guy.
Who was also a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But, I was just
worse like... watching Rory fall from grace. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, this is not the first time I watched him as a piece of shit. I watched a movie where he was a serial killer.
Okay.
So,
you were more...
my illusion of him was already brought down just a little bit.
I wasn't.
A little bit.
I wasn't.
I mean, it's the same thing like watching David Tennant be a murderer. Yeah. I watched...
It is weird.
Bad Samaritan. Have you ever watched that movie?
I haven't watched Bad Samaritan, but I watched...
I
think it was a show you told me about.
Jessica Jones.
I did watch part of Jessica Jones.
Criminal.
Yeah. Where he's locked in a room.
It's a UK based show, and it's basically all an interrogation room. The whole thing takes place in an interrogation room, and they're trying to get David Tennant to admit he killed his daughter.
Oh.
And stepdaughter, sorry. And do the whole thing.
He was raping her and murder.
He's playing another really fucked up character about a guy that is part of the clergy and basically is being investigated for murder and rape of a kid.
No.
David Tennant is playing this character, just so you know.
I will just watch Good Omens again and pretend that didn't happen.
Who's ready for Good Omens Season 2? Good Omens Season 2.
But yeah, no, so Calliope.
Yes, let's talk about... the tasteful way they handled the rape in that.
All right, we're gonna break this down beginning to middle to end. So we're gonna start with the college professor.
He gives a nice little speech.
college professor who is a one-hit wonder of a book, and everyone's like, where's your follow-up? Where's your follow-up? Where's your follow-up? Your book came out like 5 years ago. Where's your next one?
Yeah.
Dude, some people are lucky if you get one within 5 years. People are still waiting for other books from authors that had one book from a decade ago. They're like, I'm still writing. Yeah. My royalties haven't run out. Yeah. So I felt that was a little unfair to put that pressure on him, and no wonder why he resorted to dark magic.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he did it the right way. I'm just saying he resorted to dark magic.
We'll get to that in a minute. All right. So he talks to the little doctor lady, nurse, who gives him the little bizarre.
Who's a fangirl of his.
Yeah.
And she did some illegal shit to pull some strings to get him the little piece of medical.
It's bizarre. Bizarre.
Yeah.
Isn't it just hair?
It's a wall
hair
of hair.
from its human stomach.
Rapunzel syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, women who eat their hair and it bundles up inside their intestines.
Makes
it hard.
Yeah, it's believed to have magical powers. And that's actually, creepily enough, I have a book on the supernatural and occult, and that's actually one of the things they talk about in black magic and blood magic. That is one of the things, along with, like, a newborn femur. Mm-hmm. And, like, there's certain, for some reason, in old religious relic traditions of, like, paganism and even old school, like, Christianity, when they would do paganistic rituals in Christianity, they would believe that for some reason disgusting mutations of the body had magical powers. Like, oh, we cut this tumor off someone that we didn't know was a tumor at the time and eat it. It might have, yeah, I know, it's fucking gross.
Okay, that made my stomach hurt.
But that's what the dude does with the hairball. That's what the guy did with the hairball. You know that, right? He kept the hairball for the magic powers, and he fucking eats it because he thinks it's going to give him powers.
Is that how you handle those?
I
thought you, like, lit them in a...
No, they mention it in the show because he winds up, fucking dying.
Oh.
Well, I don't feel bad for him.
Yeah, given what we know about both of these characters, no one should cry any tear for them ever.
Here's the part that bothered me, was like when Rory was talking about how
his name is Robert
D. Rory. When Robert was talking, he'll never be anything.
No,
he's Rory.
Because he changed his name to Rick without the K.
When Robert was talking, I do remember that now, about writer's block and how much it fucking, like, blows. I was like, so fucking relatable.
Yeah.
It's relatable, so but have you ever wanted to commit atrocious acts?
Didn't say forgave anything.
Okay.
Don't go all words into my ship here. Anyway.
Here's the thing. Right up until he does the bad shit, he is relatable.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to be good. I don't like it, but even buying or trading Calliope, to a certain extent, can be forgiven because he didn't actually do anything to her up until that point.
Yep.
But yeah, so he does that. He trades the stone.
He trades her, and she walks with him. And there's a time right at the beginning when he first puts her in the room, and he's like, "Hey, this is the situation," and she's like, "This is not how this is supposed to go. Free me." He has a chance to have just been a fucking hero who rescued one of the muses.
Hold on, you have to go back before that. When they are leaving Home Dude's house,
he's like, "I don't know if I should do this."
Yeah, he had the chance right there where when she was given to him, he could have walked out the door like, "You're free. I don't want to."
Right?
Yeah, he didn't even have to.
But I'm saying it wasn't the point of no return until he started doing what he had to do to get inspiration.
Yeah, but that's a slippery slope, man.
Here's the thing. I don't think he would have had to done it. That's the part that really pisses me off. I honestly think Calliope would have helped him if he'd have done it the right way.
She asked for her freedom. If he would have given her freedom out of the bat, she was like, all we ask as a muse is that you pray to us, worship us, and give us offering. You know, like most relationships require.
Mm-hmm.
That's
you got to communicate with us. We exchange gifts, that. It is like a relationship.
He was not willing to take the chance of her being free and disappearing because he's a selfish prick. No matter how you slice it, you can say, "Oh, well, he led her to the house. He put her in the bedroom. He installed a fucking lock on that door before all that went down." He had multiple choices.
He had a plan.
Multiple chances, even before the bedroom.
That's what I'm saying. But the bedroom was his last chance.
Yes.
To still be a good guy, quote unquote.
I think that the good guy argument goes out the window the second that you see him drilling a lock onto the door.
I don't think it does if he doesn't use it. Because here's the thing. To say first of all, I don't know how much he knew about what you had to do to the muse to get
He
the
was
power.
told. He was told right there at the house
Because they
had
had the conversation. They had the conversation, and that conversation happened in the bedroom, though. That's why I'm saying that was his last.
I thought the rich white guy told it to him.
I don't think he fully explained, and maybe
she explains it to him fully.
And maybe he hoped that there was another way to do it.
Yeah, I could just sweet talk her.
Yeah. If I give you these flowers and these boxes of chocolate.
Because he did try that. He did try that.
You think material items is going to get you...
Yeah, I'm still a prisoner.
The problem was the not freeing me part, bitch. Yeah. I explained this very well.
It wasn't that I didn't have something pretty to wear.
But I do think that maybe he thought he could sweet talk her. Yeah. Or maybe he thought that, hey, okay, I get that this dude raped you, but maybe there's a different way for me to do this.
Like we should have a fun time.
Still won't free you though.
And then the real catalyst of it that sends him over the edge is when he gets his call from his account. It's like, dude, you're basically fucking broke. The money that they gave you, the advance, the 17,000 euros.
You're 8 months past when the book's supposed to be turned in.
They fronted you all that money. They want that fucking money back. You don't have that money, so either turn in the book within the next 2 days, or you're going to have to find a new accountant, a new manager, everything. I'm not going to do this anymore. That is finally where he's like, fuck, I'm going to be broke, I'm not going to have anything, I'm going to be a fucking miserable, lonely college professor writer. Dude, what? You're still making it as it is, you're getting by.
Yeah.
Who cares if you don't have your book right away? You finally snapped and made the choice, alright, I guess, rather than just being a one-hit wonder, I'm going to go, lack of a better term, rape someone.
Yeah.
I do really believe that she would have helped him if he would have freed her.
I wholeheartally believe that. If he, right there, she's like,
and that makes it even worse that he decided to do what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the tipping point. And that tipping point, for me, he disagrees, but to me, the tipping point was the second I saw that lock get drilled in, I was like, nope, the scale's already gone. Yeah. If you put that lock on, you have an idea of what you need, that you're going to keep her there, that you're keeping her as a prisoner. Whether you're going to rape her or not, doesn't matter. You put that lock on there.
It is a
you
bad
made a
look.
Conscious choice.
It's a very bad look.
Yeah, that was the tipping point where I was like, you're done for, dude. You put a lock on the door.
But he could have let her go, taken the lock off, and been like, that was a moment of weakness? What a shithead I was.
I don't find him irredeemable until the raping.
Yeah. I guess that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying...
Okay.
I don't find him irredeemable up
if he had let her go at any point before he took from her his inspiration, I would have been like, you freed one of the muses. Good on you. Kind of shitty you were thinking about not doing that, but you did that, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
Your actions are what
very
happened.
Very minimal harm.
Yeah. She could have been like, I'll give you the gift of knowledge for 3 more stories. That's 3 books for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He should have lived with that.
But much like Dream, she can't do that. She can't be like at no point could she say, if you free me, I promise I'll do that.
She doesn't rule in the certainty of that. But still, the fact remains to me, if he would have just put her in the room, shut the door, I would believe that he has a chance to redeem himself and get past this. Yeah. He put that lock on the door and was like, you know what you're doing, man. You're imprisoning somebody.
Yeah.
Which is still shitty.
Although it wasn't really for her because, like the guy said, she can't leave. She's his servant until he frees her. It was so no one wandered in and found her and started talking to her and being like, hey, who are you?
Yeah, because he had a house party.
Do you realize you have a crazy girl in your bedroom who thinks she's a muse?
Well, and alright, so...
Also, she says you raped her. You're going to prison.
Before we get to the next part, I really like, and this might just be the cinephile, I love cinematography and stuff.
Yep.
I love the way that they filmed this. He's sitting at the desk, and he's, typing, and he's just like...
Oh.
And there's just this blank thing. It's, untitled,
Yep.
And it's just... Blip, 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 blip. He hears shuffling upstairs, and he's just like... And gets up, takes a big old swig, gets up, and then he walks away. You don't see him, and you just see the computer screen.
Yeah.
And it's just still there, blipping empty, and you hear... Calliope, and then cuts back to him sitting at the computer typing away with a single fucking cut on his face. I was like, she did put up a fight.
Yeah.
She put up a fight.
Oh.
He fucking did what he did. You didn't have to hear screaming. You didn't have to hear a loud bang or anything.
You know everything you need to know.
Yeah, just from the subtle cut on his face and the rabid fucking typing.
Yeah.
Like, he fucking did it, dude. You piece of shit.
Yep.
You piece of shit. You have no chance of redemption in my eyes.
No, not at that point.
Like,
no, that is the point of no return.
And then he does everything he does afterwards when his book gets real popular, and he's like, I'm a feminist, and like, I hate
him. Your work is very feminine in nature. Are you aware of that? Well, most of my inspirations are female writers, and starts lifting off the most popular
when I read
writers.
The comic, I remember telling you that I hate this fucking guy. I hate him so much.
Yes.
And to see it on screen and to hear it and to like watch it.
Obviously.
I draw respect. Like, I have respect for. You've got a fucking woman in your fucking.
And also, the fact that the dude who was his inspiration and who gave him the muse was like, hey, see if you can get my favorite book re-released. And he doesn't even remember it till they say he's dead.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah. No, here's the thing. I have no pity for that guy. I'm glad he shed on him, but it's more of a sign of how bad he's gotten.
Oh, yeah.
Like how he's just getting worse and worse and so self-centered. Like, that's really what this is. He's completely self-centered. When he finds out he died... And he's like, oh, he wanted his book. He's like, oh, yeah, Gotham's Rainbow, or whatever it was called. He was like, oh, yeah. Huh. Like he has, like, a millisecond of sadness. He's like, anyway, I'm going to France next week.
Well, maybe it's also because he was aware. He was aware the dude was shit.
He also showed even more of his assholeness whenever the fangirl nurse who, helped him get the fucking... piece of disgusting hair to get Calliope in the first place is like, wanting more tips from him, and he's just a total dick. He's like, don't be a fucking writer. You're gonna suck at it. Stick to being a nurse. Don't fucking write. Yeah.
Look, if you become a writer, you're probably gonna rape someone eventually. So just don't be a writer, okay? I'm not sure that
I've got
those
no
are
time
connected.
for your questions. I don't care what you want to ask. Like, I'm not gonna give you any advice. My advice is don't fucking write.
Yeah.
And he's just super rude, and she just, you could see...
No.
You can see her spirit get crushed.
Yeah, but he says that before he's gotten the muse.
Oh, so right as she gave him the thing.
Yeah, because that's like 10 years of frustration of being unable to write. Being like, don't be a writer.
Don't do this.
I've been doing it for 10 years. I fucking hate it.
It's not fun.
But then when he does become popular...
Don't take an advance on the book.
He kind of like...
Or just have more than one written.
Keep your professor job.
She's one of the people who still, wants to be his fangirl.
I mean, she's one of the people that helps him at the end.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Even though he was kind of a dick to her before that. Right before that, whenever he was, wooing other women and stuff, and she was, had a crush on him, that shit was just shot down right in front of her face.
Yeah.
But, now, getting to that point, when Calliope finally gets out of the room, when he's on the phone discussing the plans to go to France, to go to Paris... And she, I don't remember this at all. This didn't happen in the comic, I know that much.
Okay.
She gets out, she finds a piece of paper and just writes Morpheus' name. He, if I'm correct, didn't happen in the comic, but in the show, when he throws the name into the fire, that was the final part of the ritual, right? To summon Morpheus?
Kind of seems like
That's what it felt like, because when you see the ashes going out of the chimney, they just go out.
And she looks relieved at that point.
Yeah, he did it for her.
Yeah.
So
he hoisted on his own petard. Yeah.
He needs to be hoisted up higher. I don't like him.
And it was funny because before she got the chance to do that, and she was summoning her sisters, the other three, and they're like, we can't do anything. We can't help you. We can't meddle. You're trapped here by the mortal code. Like, we're stuck. Yeah. Only people who are gods or the Endless can do this.
Yeah.
And,
wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
It's like, oh, my ex-husband. Fuck. But your ex-husband, he's been in prison too.
Yeah.
And then finally,
he gets out. She calls him.
She sees the newspaper about Unity waking up.
Yeah.
I was like... I love the subtle nudge. All she sees is the newspaper clipping. She doesn't read it. She just sees girl who was asleep for 80 years wakes. She's like, wait a minute. That means...
Escape plan hatched.
Yeah, so she did that, and I really liked when his fucking over-arrogant ass shows up and was like, who the hell are you?
That scene is fucking gold.
Oh, yeah. Because you're like, you're going to get yours.
Well, and it's also the way that they interact, because he's like, I'm going to call the police. And then Morpheus is like, I know who you got in your room. Yeah. And then he's like, are you gonna call the police? Like, there's that moment where it's like...
the switch so quick.
He's like, are you gonna call the police? He's like, I have no need for police.
Yeah, that is one of the better comeuppances in all of fiction.
I love how he gets in his face, and this scrawny little emo-looking Morpheus, you think, like, alright, there's no way you're gonna throw a punch, dude. Yeah. But they look so intensely squared off, he's just like, Roy's character's like,
To harken back to something that we have mentioned in a previous episode, I love the fact that Calliope gets to decide what the fuck happens.
Yeah.
That to me, like, she was the one...
Dream is surprised, but he acquiesces to her...
No, not all of us have this. Some people, not to say amongst the three of us, but some people do have that one ex that they are not terribly... well off against, that they do care about to an extent, and if something bad did happen to them, they're gonna fucking stick their neck out. Like, I can't speak for myself saying that I have any of those exes because they're all terrible people. It has absolutely nothing to do with me. It has all to do with their fucking terrible choices and whatnot. Dean, Dino, Reno, I don't know what yours is like, but maybe you've got one. Somebody to somewhere out there can understand why Morpheus is going so gung-ho, like, oh, you hurt my ex. Yes, she's my ex, and we had our own issues. I'm gonna fucking wreck you, dude.
Yeah.
But I just appreciate, because we were talking about the Justice League comic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Identity Crisis.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Oh, and I told him that it bothered me that no one talks to Sue.
Sue gets, to recap quickly if you weren't there for that, Sue gets raped by Dr. Light, and the Justice League basically decides what to do with Dr. Light without talking to Sue at all.
No one confers with the person who's had the crime happen to them what they want done. Yeah. And that bothered me. Like, I didn't, rereading it, that one was like, and to see it in this done where he goes, when Calliope calls him, he goes to Calliope.
He goes full punch.
Well, he does, but he's like, what do you want me to do?
Right now, he's writing his name in blood over and over again on the walls. Yeah. He's writing ideas for stories he'll never
Morpheus
complete.
goes full punch.
Yeah.
Calliope grabs a hand and pulls the punch back.
Yeah.
That's basically how I looked at it. Because he's like, I'm going to keep punching you in the face with your own thoughts until you're dead.
You want ideas? I'll give you ideas, bitch.
And a couple of those actually did sound kind of cool, and then he started saying random shit like goldfish that can talk to peanut butter sandwiches. Stuff like that. I was like,
And that was true also in the book. Like, when he starts spitting out ideas, I'm like, oh, I'd read a story about that.
And then it starts going progressively madder.
And a couple of them actually become stories later on in the Sandman comics. Which is
really cool. He's like, I needed a pen and ink, and I didn't have any pens. So he just chewed his fingertips off and started fucking writing in blood. That was crazy. And then finally, she's like, all right, I think that's enough.
That's enough.
Like, I don't think he's had a dream. It's not for you to decide.
I loved
and
that.
And he respected that.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's like, he wanted to keep punishing.
Which again, this is one of those redemption arcs for Dream where you're like, all right, I'm on your side this time. You're doing the Lord's work.
Look, here's the thing. I'd have been on his side if she'd have said, keep him going until he ain't got no hands.
Yeah, I wanted to just be two bones.
But this whole series has been a testament to the wrath of Dream.
Yeah.
And the slow redemption of his softer side.
Yeah.
So if you look at all the punishments that Dream has dealt out through the series, it's been very, very, very harsh, very vengeful.
Yeah.
Very, like, dude, I could have given you a lighter sentence, but I decided that you just crossed me a little bit too much. And
he stuck his ex-girlfriend in hell. I feel like the wrath is there. It's very...
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the fact that he actually respected Calliope's wishes and be like, all right, I'll dial it back. Yeah. So now he'll have no thoughts. Now he can't have a single thought. Yeah. He's like, wait, what, who am I? Where's this? What day is it? What year? Who are you?
Yeah.
Who am I? Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
A fitting end.
And it, like you were saying, it gives testament to the whole, he's growing up. It shows his maturity and also gives a better perspective on Calliope's side of the victim. The victim is not represented enough in most of these stories. It's always about, the hero gets to decide the justice that they are served.
Yeah, the victim
Whereas, what does the victim want to have happen to them?
And the fact that Calliope afterwards, which I don't think this is in the comic, afterwards she makes a point of, one, they leave Dream. Like, the ending shot of that is on Calliope. Yep. And it's on her deciding, I'm going to go find a way to fix some of this shit. because this shouldn't be happening. This never should have happened to her. It never should happen to anyone else.
Yeah.
The fact that they pull away from Dream and the story at the end becomes, and for the most part, actually the whole story
he was a
just
guest
about,
star in that.
Yeah,
yes,
it was about Calliope.
Yeah.
And
the Cats one as well. That whole episode was very non-Dream centric.
Well, I love how Calliope was like, well, now that I'm free, I'm going to do what we should have been able to do a long time ago, and that's have my sisters and my voices heard, making laws of the land that women like myself never got a chance to, because, yeah, I was like, that's a great subtle nod to be like, all right, now we're going to start changing fucking laws and jurisdiction and structure of the legal system to protect, women who haven't had a voice. It's like, oh, that's fucking great. Of course,
Is Calliope taking credit for the Me Too movement? Is that what just happened?
No. She's like 6 years too late.
Okay,
yeah.
She's like 6 years too late.
It was nice to see, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the funny thing is, though, in the comics, Dream was a lot colder to her. He was not like somewhat warm reception to her like he is in here, where he's kind of like, I still love you, but I fucking hate you. I'm still mad at you. We'll talk one day, but not. No, Dream's like, in the comic, like, no, you're not going to come see me. We're not going to talk. This was a one-time thing.
Yeah.
He's very curt.
Flies in, does his thing, flies out.
Very, very short, very curt. He's like, we done? We're good? Bye.
Yeah.
Again, he's a little incel bitch.
Yeah, whereas in this, he's very much like, I still love you. I'm very upset with the way we parted still. And, like, I hope our son's okay, and
yeah,
maybe one day you can come by the Dream.
And I think that does go back to having possibly only 3 seasons instead of 9 to...
Well, and they have to make him at least a little likable. You're gonna go...
also true. Yeah.
Because in the books... He's a lot there are moments in the show where I fucking hate
those
his
characters.
guts.
I like those characters that are not all
You're
as
not
lovable.
normal, Poncho. Like,
okay.
A lot of people are not gonna sit through a whole show where they hate the main character.
That's not true. People loved House.
People loved House.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
See, you can't tell me that.
These
because
are the
people
people
loved House for how many seasons? Like 10 seasons?
Yes, but the thing was that House was still likable. He was likable because you were on his side of the joke. You weren't the person who
I don't know about
mocking.
that. There were so many times where people were like, what is the purpose of House? He's just a fucking rude-ass doctor that comes in, talks shit to you, and leaves. If I had a doctor like that in real life, I'd fucking never go to this hospital.
And you fucking would too, though. Like, that's the point. You were on House's side of the joke. When he's making fun of the anti-vax mom whose kid, and he's talking about the size of baby coffins.
True.
You're on the side of House when he's making those jokes. You're not on the side of the person who's being the butt of those jokes.
I'm just saying the argument that you can't like you can't like a show with an unlikable main character is not true.
But they are likable. They just have they just have personality traits that in the real world you wouldn't. Yeah. Like, I like the Riddler. If the Riddler was a real person that lived in the real world, I'd be like, that dude needs to be stopped. He's putting people in death traps, and if they're not smart enough, they're getting murdered. Someone needs to stop that guy. Same with the Joker. Like, you can like a character who has unlikable traits because they're charismatic despite that. And Dream is charismatic despite his bad
But you have
habits.
to. There has to be kind of a balance when you're watching something, because if he's going to be an asshole, fine. There are definitely moments where he's an asshole, but just like at the end, he lets Gaunt be a dream, and I fucking love that bit. He lets Gaunt be a dream because she wants to be a dream.
Yeah.
Well, I also like that moving forward, we know that the nightmares have chances of redemption, just like we see the Corinthian being rebuilt. Gaunt gets a second chance, and they give him a new name. I forget what they gave him the name. They changed the name. It's no longer Gaunt. Gaunt is like a nightmare name. But the new version of...
Plump. The opposite of Gaunt, right?
Is
pleasantly
like
plump.
Angel-like creature that has beautiful...
Very pretty.
Yeah, she was so pretty.
Whereas I know in the Corinthian, when he remakes the Corinthian becomes like a fucking loyal dog to him. And basically becomes his hitman.
Yeah, he has a Corinthian
so
missions.
It's going to be interesting to see if we get a season 2 or a season 3 moving forward. I'd like to see all these characters come back and the redemption of
more of them.
Yeah. There's so much stuff that needs to be played out. Like we are wanting our girl Delirium to finally show up.
I want her so bad.
And Destruction and Destiny. All the endless
Look,
we haven't met
yet. Y'all can root for all the other ones.
Like our number one though.
I want Delirium.
Well, then you need Destruction because Delirium's main storyline is the hunt for Destruction. So.
I want to see this is just selfish, like,
I want to see her go with Lucifer and, like, the thing with Mazikeen and all that. I want that shit. Like,
no, I want to see the whole one where she's driving.
Yes!
I wanted to see that so bad. I mainly want that because that whole thing of her driving with Dream was so funny. Oh. I really hope we get to that point. I also really hope that in future episodes or seasons we get more one-offs, because there's so many one-offs, one-shots in the comics that could translate really well.
Yeah, King of America.
King of America, thank you. You beat me to it. King of America. So good. Morpheus's exes. Yep. The Council of Gods.
Yep.
That one they connects to the main plot. I feel like they have to that one
because Desire plays a plot in that. Yeah. The Gathering of the Siblings, the Gathering of the Endless Siblings.
Yeah, I want to see them have dinner.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, and of course the story of I guess it goes with Dream's exes, but Mazikeen, the half-faced woman, her side story that was in the comic. I think that actually goes hand in hand with Dream's exes. Yeah, but
some of that's actually covered in the Lucifer show. If you watch Lucifer,
see, I couldn't get into it because maybe it's my brother's fault. My brother loved Lucifer, and anything my brother likes, I'm like, you're stupid. Fair enough. So, I mean, like...
Look, your brother can occasionally, like, he may be stupid, but, he
has bad taste, so I can't trust...
Even a broken clock's right towards
I can't trust his taste when his choice of comic-related stuff is, I love Jared Leto's Joker. You know how much of an insult that was to me as a Joker fan? And then you want me to trust him being like, Lucifer's a good TV show.
Okay, well, I'm telling you that Lucifer is a good TV show. I enjoyed Tom Ellis as Lucifer. I enjoyed the whole setup of it. I really liked it. Yeah. Now, granted, I did drop off after like the first 2 or 3 seasons, but I also get bored real easy, and there's a lot of boy love content out there.
And see, that's why I can't trust your taste. That's why I can't trust your taste. As soon as you said it, you beat me to it. I was going to say your boy love taste makes me question it.
I have liked shows that you have liked too. Thank you very much.
Hey, how about this one? That we seem to not be talking about
Thank
anymore.
Thank you for letting me use your information, by the way.
All right.
But so the whole... going forward, what do you guys want to see more of in the future? I've already said that I would like to see more of these one-offs, like, even if you cut them together like you did with the Cats and Calliope, that's fine. Make an hour-long episode, 2 30-minute splices, that's fine. What would you guys want to see?
I definitely want to see The Hunt for Destruction.
I really like the episode of Death with the girl who has the face that's like I can't remember
the mask that she wears.
Yeah.
I
really liked that too. I'd like to see that. I want a little bit more Death centric. I would like those.
Yeah, any episodes with Death are great. More Death, I think, and I do really want to see Destiny's Garden. Like, there's a short. It's not even a whole episode. It's like 7 or 8 pages where they describe it and how the paths interweave and stuff. And I would just like to see that on the screen.
I'm really looking forward to Lucifer's Key.
Yeah.
With
that's
all
a great
of the
storyline.
different... I want to see all of the different
the God
deaths.
meetings, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that they stick a little bit to the continuity, because the thing is people keep insisting, the way that the Sandman's going to end is going to be the beginning of Lucifer. I'm like, no, they're not connected. Neil Gaiman has said that they're 2 different shows, and if people are going to go into that expecting that Gwendolyn Christie's Lucifer becomes that Lucifer, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I can't drive home enough how great the casting of this show was.
Yes. Okay. Well, I think we've got there, which is amazing. So,
yes, we could probably do this for another hour.
We could, but we can't. I am starving. I need a burrito. All right, so the last thing we're going to do here is a very common segment from the comic dissection, because we've done like 7 episodes, so we have gimmicks now. It's called The Big Question, and it can be any question connected to it. One of us ask it. I already have thought of one, Cecilia. If that's
I have not.
Excellent.
But I think he should have to think of one, because he hasn't done this.
He hasn't, but you have to come in with the big question. You can't have. Plus, I've got one. What are you doing to me?
Let's go.
What are you doing to me, Cecilia?
This is
why I was trying to put Goreship on the spot.
This is why he's lead host and you're just co-host.
No, never say that.
And you're a guest. So I would suggest you mind your manners.
Whether it's true or not, never say that.
But you asked me to come out of my own world to
I didn't ask
to
for
grace you with my presence. Anyway, the big Q. The big Q. What is the big Q, Reno?
Okay, the big question is, if you could receive a boom, which means a great gift, for one of the 7 endless, which one and what would you get? Now, I'll give you a time to think about it, and I'm going to go first, since I've had time to think about the question, because it's my big question. I actually would ask Destiny for my future, because I have read so many books, I've seen so many stories, like Oedipus, being the most obvious example of people who are given their fate and then are unable to, like, change it or modify it. But I'm going to be better than that. He's going to tell me my fate, and I'm going to trick it. And I'm going to be better, and I'm going to beat it. And I'm going to laugh at his stupid face, and I'm going to laugh at his stupid book, and I'm going to be like, bow to the king, baby.
This is how Oedipus happened.
This is how Edward Nygma happened. But yeah, I'm doing it. I'm going to get my future, and then I'm going to make choices so it's better. Because obvious.
I don't have the time to list all of the myths where someone tried that and it ended badly.
And that's why I have to do it. It's such a common trope of, like, you get your future and then you somehow
He thinks he'll be the anomaly. I don't blame him. I mean,
someone's got to be.
One out of every 100 has to be.
I'm the fly in the ointment of Destiny. Ooh, I like that. I might get that in a tattoo. All right. Cecilia, Goreship, do either of you have a boom that you would wish?
So mine is somewhat similar to what you said, Reno. It would have to be that not so much as knowing my destiny to win against it, more so to know my destiny to know, all right, when do I need to avoid death? Yeah. So knowing all the times that I could be on a collision course with death and how to avoid it would probably be the best thing.
Maybe you should talk to Death.
Honestly,
instead of Destiny.
No, because if I meet Death, I'll fall in love with her, and then I'll have no choice but to go. And if I can make a Deadpool situation where she's constantly chasing me, but she can never have me, that'd be great. I mean, especially if it's the death from this.
I would hate to have Destiny would be the last one I'd want to fuck with. I don't want nothing to do.
I'll
with
be honest, he's the most boring. No, but he also feels like he could give you the best boons.
I feel no, right. I don't.
I mean, he could show me my path to become like the greatest pro wrestler or podcaster.
You should have been Death, here's the boon. I want you to fall in love with moi.
I feel like in the comic, they establish the fact that death can't change anything, or destiny can't change anything. Yeah, the things are as they're going to be.
Game.
And
that's why it's a challenge.
And
well, that's why you go all cosmic.
This is madness.
It is. What about you, Cecilia?
I would probably choose death.
I just want to hang out.
I would choose death for you too. Don't worry. Alright, sorry. What was the boon?
I just want to hang out. Just want to.
No, look. If we're going, I just want to hang out and get coffee. It's delirium because I love her.
That's a lie. You would get so frustrated trying to talk to her.
No, I would just enjoy it. I would just let her talk.
I've seen you try to talk to people at Cardinal who are delirious.
I think I would hang out
stupid,
with Destruction delirious. And his talking dog.
He's so cute. But I would choose death
if we're talking hangout.
If we're getting a boon, all I really want is to talk to my grandparents. So I would choose death to choose something like just, hey, I know I've got to die. I can't avoid it. But is there a way to have one last little bye-bye?
Oh, that's super sweet.
So yeah, that's what I would choose.
I want to change mine just because we both picked Destiny and that's kind of boring. I also think it'd be really good to get a boon from Despair to just stay the fuck away from me. And that would be pretty nice too. I'm like, Despair, get the fuck out. I don't need you, don't want you. My boon actually makes your job easier. I don't want to see you. I don't want you around.
I mean,
bye-bye.
If that's the case, I don't know if it'd be possible. This is probably something that he'd be very, very, very against. I would have to go with Dream. And my boon with Dream would be I would like to make my dreams reality. Within reason.
Terrifying.
Within reason. If I'm I dream of being wealthy. Oh, stack of money in my hand.
Yeah.
Conditions, obviously, that he gets to keep it in check.
Yeah.
I can't do anything that's godlike. I can't do anything that's going to draw universal attention to myself.
Right.
Very, Jinn-like parameters to it. But that's the real boon I would probably make a dream is
genies.
To what I want while I'm still alive to turn my hopes and dreams into realities. That would probably be the best thing to get me through life because if I put my mind to it, the only person in my way to not make my dream reality is me.
Yeah. and you'd have it for 2 weeks, and then all the cats would finally get their shit
2 years.
together.
Give me 2 years.
Then the cats would finally get their shit together. And all of our best laid plans would just end up us being tossed in the air.
You know what the worst part of this is that those cats would probably be my cats. You know why? Because I would be like, all right, I want 1,000 cats in a giant fucking house.
Yeah, you'd set yourself
like
up.
a giant property with
and
all
the
these...
cats would be like, "Oh, we see what this shit is. It's definitely we all band together.
The revolution
now.
starts today.
The revolution happens because we all.
That would actually be what starts the revolution.
Goreship starts the cat revolution.
The revolution is meow.
Viva la President Meow. The revolution is meow. All right, kids. Well, that was super fun, and we kept it under 2 hours, if just barely. So this is Reno, Dino, Valentino, Cecilia, Rose, and the mighty Goreship on the waters of dreams. We're bidding you a fond farewell till next time.
You're
on Comic.
You're short too.
You're shorter.
But like
this is Goreship saying goodbye.
I'm taller than both of them. So long from Comic Dissection.